That's what I'm always looking towards to see what the Titans are going to be doing on a weekly basis.
I think if you're betting with Benji, just saying he's going to be able to play at least baseline
Aggro's
real
so
good,
stupid,
you're
dude.
betting right. This guy has been one of the most
so
consistent players
embarrassing.
to play
That's so
Smite
fucked
out
up.
of the soul lane full stop.
He's gonna
But
think about
I think
that
you're
so
right
much.
to highlight ScaryD as that wild card. Sometimes you'll get 7 kills in the first
Right
7
after
minutes
he's
of the
done
match,
thinking
right?
about why he
Sometimes
doesn't have a combo
he's
named
playing
after him.
a magician's vanishing act, and he's just not there. It just depends on the day of how well he is playing and how well he feels coming into it. If he's shining, the rest of the team shines with him.
We'll see if he can do that today as we are into picks and bans for game number 1. Fenrir, the first ban off the board, a god whose stock continues to rise.
This should be fun to watch.
Fenrir has looked fantastic, looked great for Fred in the last game, of course. And no Tiamat this time around. Paul, I cannot imagine, is going to be getting his hands on that anytime soon.
Oh.
No, I wouldn't let Paul play any of the mages if I had my way, but Tiamat certainly on the top of the list of gods I would rather not line up
Aurora's,
against Paul with. But meanwhile, the
doing
Titan's
his
going to
best
toss some
Paul
respect
lean
bans towards
impression.
the Solar Scarabs mid laner. That Yanis that has been banned out from BaRRaCCuDDa game and game and game is going to happen again in this one.
Yeah, going to happen again despite the
Kino?
nerfs to Giannis, which do seem to be pretty impactful, but not impactful enough to let BaRRaCCuDDa play it
Let's
against
do
you, which
Luna.
makes some sense. The Titans going to go back to the mid lane pool.
Raijin
They ban
ban.
away the Raijin,
But
knowing
we
that
have
Paul loves that
on
pick.
our team.
There's certainly a bit of a different look for them. Interesting that they're the ones in the first pick position. willing to
Pauline
ban it away.
has started,
Yeah, I
chat.
would have thought that maybe they would have left
It
it
has
available just to take it
commenced.
in that first slot or force
Right.
out another ban from the Solar Scarabs, but instead
How far
they
will
go
he
ahead and remove it
lean
from the table.
by
and
the end of this set?
Look, they both have large god pools. I'm talking about Paul and BaRRaCCuDDa. I don't think anyone in Smite history has a god pool nearly as large as Paul. So if you're going to target out the enemy mid laner, you better believe Paul's got at least
He's
16
telling me,
more
chat.
picks in the back
The
pocket.
other
Doesn't
boy
have to
up
worry
here.
too much about
He's
it.
yelling at me.
Very surprised
Don't make
to
eye
see this
contact.
Athena
Don't make
ban
eye contact.
that leaves Gilgamesh open. I mean, Athena, not the character she
Zol.
once was. Aurora, very good on
Is
that
that
goddess.
the
It's a comfort
Zol?
pick for him. Benji also maybe the best Athena solo player of all time. Really good in that role. But you leave open Gilgamesh,
Soul Loki.
a little bit scary. That being said, you get some pretty good return picks. Soul and Loki. Loki returning to competitive
was
availability.
Loki banned last set
immediately picked
against
up here by the
Kivo?
Scarabs.
It was banned out for the entirety of the last set. Johnny's looking
Yep.
up, earning the respect of the opposition here. We'll see whether or
That
not
was good
Leo's going to do that
timing.
exact same level of work on this pick. And now the Tartarus
you,
Titans
Miff.
have just about play of the field. They can take anything that they want. Surprised to see this Hercules locked in. That does mean that it's
do
likely
not.
going into the Soul lane. You'll have
Yep.
Gilgamesh in the jungle with Yamoja out
Where's
of
that
support.
Soul
That
going,
is
chat?
a lot of aggression across the board. You don't even need necessarily the most aggressive hunter to really find pressure in the long lane. That's just the amount of damage Yamoja does to wave.
Yeah, so
But this pick from the
that
Solar
front line
Scarabs
for
was
Titans?
something I was expecting from the Titans. It's very clear that they're going for that double hunter strategy once that soul gets locked
You know,
in. So I thought maybe
would
we'd see the Titans try and strip it away,
ever
but
want to
instead
play
let it
against
through.
that.
Well, I get the Emoja there for
You know,
Aurora.
maybe
They lose
we,
some of the ambiguity
you know,
of their
that-
early
this
picks.
was a good
with
scrim.
Gilgamesh
Maybe
and
we just
Hercules by
remake
locking in
and
the Emoja
redo
as
picks
well.
and bans.
But we were talking just a
Thoughts?
minute ago, when the Titans get a solid front line, they look really difficult to stop. You get a solid front line with your top 3 picks already.
What do you
so
think,
you're
chat?
feeling pretty good about that at the very least.
Maybe we
As
just
Chiron
remake?
and Osiris are taken off the board by the Scarabs
You know, we
and
goofed.
Titans respectively. This Soul pickup, I'm curious to whether it's going to go into BaRRaCCuDda's hands or into Zapman's. We see some teams like the Bolts play it almost exclusively in ADC. BaRRaCCuDDa, of course, a specialist on that pick.
Yeah, that's me.
But you see other
Thanks,
teams like the
Aggro.
Dragons
You didn't
play it
talk about my
exclusively in
combo.
mid for Heroine. So good flex opportunity here for the Scarabs.
Yeah, it is. Have we seen BaRRaCCuDDa play the Soul so far this year?
Not that I
I'm
can
not
recall.
sure of it. He usually likes to play those a little bit further range, just artillery gods. I'm talking the Razathos, things along those lines. But instead now, it could be Soul going towards mid. And we've seen Zeros consistently find first blood on this pick as well. Nice little handshake there from Dave.
he's reaching for my
I'm
microphone.
going to shoutcast that one.
Okay.
We'll chair one flex.
I guess you have to, yeah. Really good chair one flex, Mifflin. We all know exactly what happened now, and everyone is better for it instead of you just breaking down picks and bans.
Well, I did the picks and bans, but you seemed
Oh,
like
you were all done.
You were like really.
You don't got anything else to say the whole
well,
time?
I mean, there's obviously I'm going to have more to say, Aggro, but they haven't done anything yet. Maybe you should break down the bans.
Oh, should I?
Yes.
Thank you. Morgan banned away
You guys
by the
can't
Solar
hear my
Scarabs. Did you
kissing
cover that
noise.
one?
My
I was
noise
handshaking
gate's
with
too
Dave,
high.
as you so nicely pointed out.
Making kissing
I was
noises
just
to
calling-
Luna, and she's just
calling
making
as well
biscuits.
There for the Tartarus Titans. Now the Scarabs have to lock
Oh,
in
not Bucky,
their
thanks for the
Soul Laner
two.
and
Welcome
the
back.
later of the ADC, as we were
What are you
covering
doing?
just a moment ago. We don't know exactly where that Soul is going to go. And it is going to go mid. Zapman getting that
Gonna make some
Jingwei.
biscuits for
Surprised
chat.
to see him go towards that Jingwei. Generally, when I think Zapman gets his back
make
put up
some
against the wall, he
biscuits?
goes towards things like the Heimdall, a little bit more aggressive picks I associate with
watching
him.
the stream?
Realizing that he might be left alone on an island in this game, doesn't want to deal with that aggression from Yamoja is what I was going to say, and now I'm seeing this Kepri hover might shift up what we
No
expect
shot.
to see
Okay,
here.
no
Big
shot. We're
yawn
trolling,
coming.
right? Yeah, that's a troll. 100%.
Okay, it's a hell. Whoa!
Yeah, it's hell. Wait a minute,
That's
it's hell.
hell.
Like,
That's hell.
that's weird, but it is.
that's a
Paul.
lot of
As
healing
you
for
mentioned,
Titans.
hell very, very key to Paul's historic
lot
success,
of
but
healing.
we haven't seen her a whole lot recently.
We have not. In Season 8, healing taking a global nerf when you're outside of combat means that Hell's going to have a little bit more trouble keeping her team topped off in these elongated engagements around neutral objectives.
I mean, I assume it's Jing
Or
ADC.
Fire Giant, but Yamoja's going to be able to help out a little bit with that as well. Going to expect to see probably a couple onks come through here from the Solar Scarabs.
Yeah, and maybe some for the Titans as
Hey, how
well,
fast do you
because
rock your
there's a
baby?
Vamana on the other team now. Vamana gets
Rock
picked
baby
here
this
by the
fast?
Solar Scarabs. Yeah, a little bit weird to kick off Phase 2 for both of these teams. We don't see a whole lot of Hell. We don't see a whole lot of Vamana.
I've never rocked
Both
a baby
gods
before.
kind of hit by those healing reductions, but Hell's getting buffed there on Tuesday. You know, she's getting buffed in the mid-season patch. Not quite through yet on that one. That late game prowess is nuts. You still have a lot of damage, but there's so much healing already for the Tartarus Titans. Then
Slightly
you add
faster
in
if you want them
the,
to fall
you know,
asleep.
they're
You
already
do
going
it
to build
slowly.
anti-heal against Hercules Yamoja.
Yep.
Then you buy into Hell, and you go, yeah, definitely get
my
as
kitty
much
baby's
anti-heal
head.
as you possibly
Her
can.
head's in my armpit.
I'm just usually
Wait,
not a
this
fan
is
of
my
stacking
armpit.
that
My
much
elbow.
sustain on one team.
Makes you get
It's
so
fully
much more value
supported.
from that Onk. Onk, of course, reducing some of the healing and those hit by the Onk and
Well,
then
Mr.
receiving
Fahrenheit,
heals, taking
thanks for the
additional damage
2
afterward. You
year.
better
Welcome
believe
back.
a lot of people are going to be hit by heals. You can't really be choosy on your targets with Yamoja bouncing
The
through
elbow
or with
armpit.
Hell heal being as large an AoE as it is. Onks should be able to find value in every single team fight. Worth noting, though, Aggro, Vamana used to be the Season 4 Classic matchup into Hell. She doesn't have the greatest way to
Stop,
escape, but
Monster.
just
Thanks
hop
for
in
the
that giant form
37.
and chase her down, and
Welcome back,
hopefully
baby.
you win that DPS race.
That is
Yeah, the
true,
elbow
and
armpit,
you've got a
Johnny. You
Fafnir
guys don't
course
know
in order
about
to
it?
help you out in
Yes,
that
sir.
regard, so you're getting extra
Well,
DPS,
you guys haven't heard of it.
attack speed in that Colossal Fury. I don't know, man. The way it's Season 8, it's 2021. You're picking Vamana still? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. We'll see how it ends up working out for him. We are going to have to go to a quick break, as it seems a banned skin has been selected, so we got to do a
You
quick
mad I
remake.
stopped petting you
Figure
already?
we'll give you some music to listen to in the meantime instead of Mifflin play-by-playing a handshake that you can't see.
They did like a golf swing chat.
We'll be
It was
right
like
back.
a little golf swing, and then they like dabbed up. Yeah, it was super.
What? A 5-minute break? The servers mess up? Is this the third break? How dare they? Oh, wait, is it Goga skin that's banned? Oh, that's funny. Okay, that's funny. Have I ever selected a ban skin? No. We've never had to remake because of my skin choice, but a lot of ADC picks don't have ban skins. We don't get OP skins. We don't have a Naja hockey skin in ADC. It's like Soul and Medusa, I think, have ban skins. And the On Her skin. Outside of that, I don't know of any skins. I think there might be one Scotty skin that's banned. Gosh, you're shedding so much. Like a non-shot ban? No. It's also really hard to tell what button is coming at you on that skin, so that's why it's picked. Hockey non-shot skin should be banned, I think. That's just my opinion. Our skins banned in the first place because some are literally OP. Like, in my opinion, okay. So this is how a skin should be banned. This isn't how it works, but this is, in my opinion, how it should be. If someone turns their back to a skin, and then that skin makes a sound effect, you should know immediately what sound effect that is. In my opinion, that is how it should be done. That should be one of the criteria, because there's a lot of skins that you don't know what button is coming at you that are allowed in the SPL. And I mean, in a perfect world, it would be default skins across the board. But since SPL helps to sell skins, they're allowed in the SPL, obviously. But the players have argued enough to get banned skins and everything, and we are allowed to submit skins in to have them banned. But it's kind of annoying to go through each new skin in the game to test for different sound effects when there's so many skins that get put out in like each patch. Yeah, there should be a list of banned skins somewhere. I assume the public has a list. I don't think they would do those light roasts. They didn't sell well at all. Well, the list is updated by the pros who submit skins in. And normally just the most OP ones get submitted in. Dude, I also thought Season 1 we were all gonna get a skin. I'm back, Niall, thanks for the 35! Man, welcome back. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Yeah, the original ones, Jersey skins were like some of the worst skins in Smite. Literally just like the character wearing a
between the
t-shirt.
Tartarus Titans and the Solar Scarabs. Apologies again for the delay. One of these days we will work out how to not pick banned skins. And by we, I don't mean we. I mean players. But, you know, that's okay.
I thought you were going to name drop. That would have perfectly rhymed. Okay, that's the only hint you're getting from the desk here.
Yeah. Oh,
what he
what's up,
said
Gore?
would have rhymed.
Yeah, look at how disappointed Gore is right now. Come down a little bit here, Gore. To make sure, yeah. Look at what you're doing to Gore, blank, for picking banned skins again.
Again.
Well,
legitimately,
Dave's like talking over here, and it's not even live. He's just yapping the whole time. They're chomping at the bit to get in a game here between the Titans and the Scarabs. One more time, Mifflin. Quick thoughts on how you're feeling about the Titans composition versus the Scarabs.
The Titans comp, I think, is going to pose some questions to the Scarabs. They have to answer them properly. Are you going to build enough anti-heal? Are you going to slot it in the right time so you're not falling too far behind in your power spikes? If the Scarabs are capable of answering those questions, I think that this Titans draft is pretty easy to deal with. And the question is, are you going to buy Ankh? And if the question is answered with yes, I think the Solar Scarabs have a draft that can certainly come out ahead here. In particular, this Loki can have a very easy time closing gap.
Excited to see what Layers are going to be able to do on that pick for sure. If the Scarabs don't buy an Ankh, man,
I would never have him, Mr. Terrible.
I got nothing for him. I mean, you got to. I would buy into 2 in this game.
I might first slide.
I mean, the main thing honestly,
it might be worth it. We'll see if the Scarabs are able to build
biased,
enough anti-heal to take down the Tartarus Titans. Let's throw it down to Dave and Gore for game number 1.
Chomping at the bit no longer as the Tartarus Titans and the Solar Scarabs will kick off.
Death Soul Trans 1, Death Soul Devos for the Hunters.
My name is Dolson Gormizer's with me. Doug, of course, spectating for us here. And what should be a very interesting matchup, Gore. Look, the Tartarus Titans, throughout the Phase 1 playoffs, especially in the group stage, put together some good performances. They had one of the longest win streaks going on in Phase 1 of Season 8 after they started to catch some heat. And the Solar Scarabs,
doing a shorter
I feel like this is such an unpredictable team. They show up, they beat the Dragons, they don't show up, and they fall by the wayside. plenty of
Is that
intrigue
better
here in
to
this
do a
one.
I mean,
shorter
you're looking
TP?
at a team that knocked the Kings
always
out of
TP'd for an
the
extra purpose,
playoffs for Phase 1, and a team that unfortunately had a lot of
I
struggles
do think
in the
you get
process
fined
of getting
for it,
there.
but
Didn't
that's kinda
have the
up to the
playoffs they
admin.
wish they could have as well. And so there's, I want to say maybe more pressure on the Scarabs to perform here, just because I think they want to start off Phase 2 a little more spice into it, right? Like
Yeah.
Phase 1,
But teams
you had the
get
warm-up
worse by
time,
reg,
you
'cause
definitely
if you-
struggled for, what,
if you're
4
grouped
weeks
and
in
one
a
team's
row
not, you
before
can just
finally
fight them.
starting to really kick off and find your stride. I think if they could start this phase a lot cleaner, it would feel just better for them, right? A lot more of a moral uplift and would be able to keep them going. And this is a
Hammer.
pretty decent draft. I mean, yes, you've got a lot of healing on the other side. You've got a Gilgamesh on the other side as well
Yep.
to handle. But they're bringing in the spice. I mean, Loki has been banned every single game that he's been available this week until now, so this is a great look for Layers. Plus, if I remember correctly, he's like 1 kill from getting 100 this year, so
Hey,
maybe
nice.
that'll help kind of drive him forward. But also, I mean, when was the last time we saw Vamana, period, let alone
man.
when he's actually coming into the meta?
Yeah, this is my dream. There's plenty to talk about in this draft and plenty to
Oh.
talk about already in the mid lane. Paul just shy of maybe the mana to keep engaging
Braun
on the
gets his
BaRRaCCuDDa,
one,
and
it'll
the
be
Soul
fine.
will have to back away beneath the tier 1 tower. My dream here, Gormizer, because there's plenty to look at on
There's
both
so
sides.
much.
I just get to bring something up, and you can tell me a little bit about it here. Where do we think Hell is at the moment? Because when the healing changes came through, Hell and other healers kind of started to fall by the wayside, but if anyone's going to make something like this work, all pause as SOT has a chance for a solo kill in the solo lane. He's going to turn it around, the knockback, and the auto attack is enough, and down goes the Vamana, minute and 53 in.
That's not the start you really want, is it, Dave? You're coming in, you're playing somebody. It's Vamana's first game this year, so it's something that he's not been picked up. I believe there was like a little mishap sometime earlier. Really, nobody's been looking at
That's
him. He
a
hasn't really been
mental
discussed.
destroyer
I'm
for
interested to see
Saw.
the build.
If that
I honestly
second
am
tick
more
of that
curious as to
3
what
hit,
he's going to
I'm
do
pretty sure he just
next
dies.
week, because I think there's going to be potentially some meta changes, like the movement speed.
I'm pretty
the
sure
boots
only the
being taken
first
out,
tick
that
hit.
Yep.
could, for all I know, benefit Vamana of all people.
Maybe.
But he was
Yeah, but that
he used to
is
be
weird.
really big
I'm not
on
sure
sticking
going
to the
into
back line, right?
animosity,
It's
but
something Mifflin had kind
maybe
of
it's
mentioned
just
it, like
like,
season
hey,
4,
I got sold,
you
I'm
would build
behind, so I'm
Vamana,
gonna
you would go for a thing
not
like
go
you know,
boost
essentially
one
at what,
here
a
and just
Fatalis
go
at the time.
Benevolence. I see
Hasten
if you
Ring
could go
now, I
boost
guess,
2
is
just by
the
boost
equivalent of
2.
it, where you just, my goal is to auto-attack you and stick to you, and it doesn't necessarily matter if I kill you or not.
Sure.
I'm going to make you
Oh,
so
is the
uncomfortable you
stream
can't
too
be in the
loud?
fight. And if you do that to someone like a Hell, you kind of neutralize the healing.
Wait, that's too loud? That's where I had it on
don't know
game
that we're
1.
going to be
Maybe
able
they
to see
turned their
something like that out
microphones?
of the solo or troll here. I think this, especially now that he's gone a little more, let's say, supporty with his
Yeah,
starter
right.
item
Wait.
choice, he's maybe looking to be a more facilitator, and they've got a lot of
Maybe they turned
anti-heal,
their
or a
microphones
lot of
this time or
healing on the
something.
other side, so if he can
Maybe
go
Taco and
something
Hindu had quiet
anti-heal
mics.
oriented, maybe if he goes attack speed, something like a Toxic Blade, like, it all fits together still.
It does, and look,
He gets so much passive experience that you actually don't get too far
Now the
behind.
solo lane could have some intrigue as the Vamana gets
hard.
a little bit tankier. The potential for that to reoccur definitely diminishing, but that's kind of why
I
think
think
Hercules
at this point the
not only
benevolence
for the
isn't that
ability
bad
to-
of an
to bully into the
idea.
late game, but there's plenty of damage on the table there, and Benji makes great use of it. Cyclone Spin will
The cute
ult
play by
forward. That
Spinner.
man responds quickly with a pair of beads of his own. So now for the next 155 seconds or so, this dual lane of the Scarabs got to play a little bit more cautiously.
Yeah, about to have his ult. Zap should be able to farm up to that in a second, but they both
Whoa.
back to base.
Oh.
They just pop off over here in mid.
Yeah, BaRRaCCuDDa down
Well,
for the first time this game.
The solo
so
lane
Scarabs
first
lose their
blood
mid
has
laner.
fed
They've got a
into
gap
the
growing
mid
over in
lane.
the solo
That
lane,
is
or has grown and
unlucky.
hopefully stabilizes.
It's like
it
a
for the
leaking of
Scarabs.
shit.
And a
you know?
potential growing gap now.
It
Paul's in a
eventually
great
starts,
spot
like,
here as
taking
well.
over
That's
the
not
rest
like
of the ship.
An instance where he had to go back, he will go back now. Obviously, he has enough gold to complete up an item of choice here. But a nice one-level lead, at least half-level lead over BaRRaCCuDDa here for this Hell.
And he's starting to get over the part, like, the worst part of the game for Hell is the first few levels, because you just don't have the mana to do anything. Right? I mean, you are borderline useless. You go in, you throw about 3 of
My
them,
mouth not make a
and
strong
you get a
P
heal,
sound?
you get some damage, and then you're done for the count. You
Tall.
have nothing left
Does
to
that sound like
offer
tall?
until
Tall.
something can come up. And now that he's got his boots online, you can see that that's not really affecting him so much. I'm excited to see what this Hell can bring.
Yeah,
Because,
Takeman's
you
meta
kind of brought it
and
up
solo
later.
is
I
a
might
little
have to wait a
boring.
little bit to bring it up, because Inbound's looking to get aggressive on Aurora.
Yeah, and he'll grab a hammer.
Maybe he just
over
played a
onto
kill
Aurora as
Aurora?
well. Inbound has the Sunder,
That's
should he
interesting.
choose to let that one fly. He does let it
Oh
fly, and it's
no,
on
we
to Aurora,
waited
but there's
too
no
long.
follow-up damage.
We
Instead,
waited
Inbound
so long.
left alone. And the Tartarus Titans collapse on in, and it's Scary D with his second kill of the game. This was a Gilgamesh that was left open. Remember, the Dust talked about it a little bit. Athena got banned out. Gilgamesh was left open. But the action gore might not stop there.
I mean, Zap is the one that's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Has his ult, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, should be able to at least get away there, but
that was close.
Layers doesn't have the same real escape.
This is chaos in all the wrong ways. If you're
This game do be rough right now.
But that's a great start.
Okay, so we're kind of farming for a late game. Bobby went warding. Just Zap is going Devos, and we have Benevolence on our solo laner. So we're just trying to not lose.
You're escaping by the skin of your teeth, so that's a small win if you're the Scarabs.
Unlucky, we're 2k down now.
Whether it's mid, solo, SOT,
but, you know, we're scaling. We have Devos, and, you know, our mid lane solo got behind a hell, so we don't really love that.
I feel bad saying this, because it's bad memories for the Scarabs.
Oh, and I want you to say it even more.
They've had sets.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Games
in my
2 and
camp.
Game 3 are phenomenal, but they get absolutely
Actually, I was being
shut down in
tight.
game number 1. Like, they have had game 1s where
Wait,
you
you
would
probably the
argue whether or
10.
not they were even playing as a team, as opposed to just 5 people.
So Zap is
playing
just going
separate
to
roles.
AFK farm as much as
A
possible.
lot of the things that I've seen specifically where
But even Death Soul, I feel like I would want to go Guild here.
But they're
If I'm
really
truly
good
AFK
at
farming,
tightening it up
I'll just go,
after those issues happen.
Gilded.
This is a good example of it, right? They get the left side Scorpion, it opens up some opportunities for them. I think it's definitely not been the start they wanted, but it is nothing that they haven't.
Players
fought
really does not
before,
want to
and
ult
it's something
that.
they
Oh
want
no,
back.
sought that for
There's
that?
a potential 2v2 that turns into a 3v2 that turns into a 3v1. As SOT blinks away here. Titans may be looking for the dive. Aurora does have River's Rebuke. Good timing
So
though. Not sure
wowie.
if Aurora sniffed that one out, but blue buff
I'm gonna sell the
respawns,
Jingwei
and
portrait?
Aurora will
That's
end up going
actually
back,
not
helping
a
out
bad
Benji,
idea.
invade in onto this blue buff. Keep SOT as far behind as you can, because the Vamana did end up closing that 2-level gap down to 1 level now, probably about half a level here. So Benji still being able to pull that advantage is big, but now Inbound pokes his head around the wrong corner. Cyclone Spin, use the ultimate here. Paul is in range for some damage, but Inbound leaps away. The range from Cyclone Spin just short, but Aurora's going to rotate in from mid. Will Aurora have enough damage to get the kill onto Inbound? The stun is not there. The River's Rebuke doesn't catch out either, but Scary D.
Okay, we'll leave it there. That was
close
good.
the gap on the back line. Layers has gotten Cyclone Spin, but immediately goes down to Paul.
I mean, look, change his name to Houdini. Inbound should not have gotten out of there. Escape artist galore. That is insane for him.
You don't know if Cyclone's webcam is messed up, or
They might lose more
why he doesn't have to use a webcam and
He
we
does
do?
have beads, though, so probably
Could
not
be
able to
Black's
use the airstrike,
PC,
but able to use the
know,
beads
something
if
like
need
that.
be. Let's see how far the Titans want to chase this one. Paul will poke down some damage, but it's a purple buff that is now spawned.
Just
on
leaving,
up.
Wally?
Red
Alright.
buff awaiting over around the
Alright.
side here. If that's where the
Bye.
Titans
Have
wanna look.
fun.
Actually, red buff ends up getting dropped down. Over the last couple minutes, Gore, I think the Scarabs lost every single buff across the map.
And it's not a comfortable spot you want to be in. Layers
But
gotta
we
speed
do
up.
have
There's
2
a little bit of
benevolences,
a-
and they only have 1. So the later this goes, you know, we're just getting free golden experience.
Did get the speed buff at least.
I mean, he's able to pull a lot, but look, this is
Spinners in Georgia.
a rough early game.
There's have to use cams,
This
yep.
is maybe your worst case
We do.
scenario. I mean, your Vamana, like you have one pick that hasn't really been
Unless it like lags your
really
PC
has
in
not
game.
been seen at all this year so far, and you're trying to prove it off. I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do, because at least when I look at actually every member on the Scarabs, even this Loki, I feel like they're transitioning into a 5v5. They play really well together in their grouping, but this is a bad start for you, because the only team that could do better for you in grouping is a team with, say, you know, something like a Yamoja and a Hell on it, right? Like, that healing is nowhere near as oppressive as it was last year, where you take one step out of the fight, you heal up back to full, and all of a sudden you get to come back in. That nerf really does kind of help take it down a notch. But admittedly, it wasn't enough. I mean, you had mentioned it earlier. Yes, it was enough to knock Hell out of the #1 spot. She's getting banned every game, or first.
I mean, maybe Saw
But I
knows
don't
he's
think
just
it's
not
enough
going to
for
get a
them
blue
necessarily
buff
to
for the rest of the
bad.
game
It's
after
just
he
like
gets
other
soloed,
mids
so
better
his
than
benevolence is his blue buff.
more often. I think you had mentioned it earlier, but if someone's going to make this look good,
And now we're trying to make plays on duo side.
Hell definitely gets a Paul
Unfortunately
buff.
with Jingwei, but Jingwei's
So
like
far,
that bad
it's
a
good.
fight.
1-0.
Ooh, that's pretty big.
Though, before my eyes,
How many of
it's
us die
gone,
for
but
it?
then Paul
Alright,
rotates
Layer's
into the
dead.
Paul buff,
Okay, I think
working well. Now
Veronic's
Hell on
dead once
board.
that kick comes
Second
through.
kill of the game. Veronic's gonna disapparate on away here, but Scary D, he's got the gap closed, and Paul's got the double. Tartarus Titans collapse in, making it 2-for-1.
Bobby's dead too, so
it's kind of hung out to dry. Where are you going to go here? You
he's
can
not
go on a
chasing him, he's
long
doing
run,
gold.
and
We've seen
maybe
that.
it's
What
not even
disciplined
worth
players.
chasing at this point. Because, well, admittedly, just better targets on the map. With the amount of healing they have online and the lack of I mean, Divine Ruins coming online, this is going
Do you
to
think all of
change
this is
the game
happening just because Sock got
those items
soloed?
up. But early on, this is what you can expect, right? Paul, Aurora are going to be...
Like, it's crazy how much, like, one
unstoppable
solo
until
kill
you're
can
able
get you
to
on the
get
map.
something back there, or some items online that slow them
Oh,
down.
no.
'Cause otherwise, it's just going to keep Scary D in the fight longer. Same thing for Cyclone.
Oh, no.
Zapman will dash away here, has to use the beads. Airstrike awaiting around the corner.
Wait, Zap is actually
I think the
crazy
Tartarus
for
Titans
not
have gotten done what they came to do. That's invade the purple buff, get the purple buff.
not
Keep
ulting
Zapman
there.
just a little
I
bit
mean, it's
behind.
the
Now one
classic
level
Zap.
behind
Zap will
Cyclone's
hold
win
his buttons for
on
literally
this
ever.
Heimdall. So it's a fantastic
He's very
start
good at,
back
like...
to phase 2
Okay,
here.
well,
The Tartarus
sometimes he's
Titans
very
have
good at
gotten
damage
themselves
calculating.
2,000
Sometimes he'll
golden
just
lead
die.
Over the Solar
And you'll be
Scarabs.
like, Zap, what are you doing?
What's
And
even
sometimes it's like,
scarier is
wow, he
thinking
held
this
everything
Hercules
and
has kind of
lived.
maintained that 1.5 level
But
lead over the
I'm a
last few
player
weeks. We
that
haven't
presses
seen
my
these solo
buttons.
laners getting these fights just yet.
If I'm in
Benji's
trouble.
gonna be
But
the
Zap's a
power
player
point.
who
Yeah,
holds
he's
his
able to rotate
buttons.
in and impact these fights.
That's the thing
Sometimes
that's really fun to
regardless
look
of the
at
amount
with
of
the two
pressure that's
warriors,
on
because
him.
They have distinct play styles that are going to be like Hercules. You know what he's going to do when he comes in. He's looking for knockups. He's looking for pushbacks. He's looking to displace somebody on the other side, similar to what you expect out of like when Sobek's on the other team. His goal is to lock someone down.
I think
Whether
that
it's for
Benevolence is
himself
actually doing
or for
work
his
for
team,
Saw right now.
doesn't really matter. Someone's not going to play in that fight because of Benji. SOT wants to do the same thing, but it's completely different means. He actually has to dive a little further.
Yep.
And so I'm going to keep my eyes out. If the Titans want to, one of the best items against Vamana is going to be some anti-heal. I won't be surprised if somebody picks a little bit of it up because it'll help.
It is, in my opinion, part of
and
Zap's
that would
strength
shut
as a
down
player.
SOT mostly throughout the engagement. The question is then who do you throw that on? Like Benji, he already went the teleport. Maybe you want him to get a blink, so that's a oh, he's already got the beads. If I look at the actual relics,
They do look very similar to Vision Shard at a glance, right?
And so now you're a little curious because you're like, okay, well he's playing it safe. What exactly is Aurora going to pick up? Because Mojo with the Sunder maybe doesn't need the blink, but where you pick up that relic or that anti-heal is going to matter for the Titans just as much as for the Scarabs.
That's right. We've approached that level 12 mark for a couple players over on the Solar Scarabs.
Maybe we go for a
Wondered
tier
how
1 mid
many
tower soon
Cursed
with
Ops
both
we would
mid
see.
objectives
The devs
off?
figured we'd need at least one.
Or both
and
neutral
inbound
objectives
seems
off?
to be the target for where you'll go with at least the one that you'll have if you're the Solar Scarabs. Not on SOT over on the other side. Here's that man looking for a red buff invade. So the Solar Scarabs not backing away from finding some map pressure of their own, but the onslaught begins here for the Tartarus Titans. That man is able to escape, but he cannot participate in the rest of this fight. Inbound, slowed on down. Watch out for Benji around the back line. His layers left.
Oh, we had to leave layers because Benji was there. Unlucky.
Tartarus Titans find a pick.
This is the second time we
Not
watched
clear to be
Bobby
gathered just yet, or
run
Power
away.
Answer, so it looks like some wave pushing in the mid lane.
Again, I'm waiting for what is the inevitable power creep of the Scarabs right now. Contagion just now picked up, so that's a second anti-heal item that's going to be online for the Scarabs. But it's starting to.
I mean, once we get
take a little
Onk
longer than you'd like if you're a
on,
Scarabs
I
fan.
assume,
Like,
but yeah, it has
to
to be Bobby.
Nowhere near.
Once we get Onk
that's
and
what,
then
maybe
layers
a
going
midpoint
trans
for a
into
bigger,
brawlers,
like a
I
regular
mean,
game,
maybe
26,
these team
28
fights are
minutes.
winnable, but Paul will have Mantle by then.
1,000 to 3,000
And then I
Titans are
assume
in
the
a
main
much
target
more
becomes
comfortable position
Spinner.
to drive this one home.
Oh,
App State,
Paul went
it's
Spirit
still
Road.
mostly equal. Neutral
Probably
objectives
because
have been going for the
Fafnir
Titans.
and
You got the
Loki
Pyro,
ult is the only way he
you got
does.
that tier 1
Oh, I thought he
mid.
got that.
That is really the key that's opened up a lot of this map. These buff invades are going to keep happening from them because they can just continue to get aggressive around there, and they have.
Yeah, I assume Loki ult or Fafnir are the only ways that Paul dies, so he's liking Sphere Rope over Mantle, or he just wants a quicker spike.
Catch up right now to get to that point.
Thank you,
Well, I don't
Eco.
know, do your games end in 26 minutes? Every time I play a ranked game, it goes
my
like
games?
it goes an hour long. I don't know. We are
The average SPL league.
right there. We go. Right. We're in the.
I mean,
we're
yeah,
in
for
the
Saw
early
not getting a
stages.
single blue
We're
buff,
in the early moments
he's not
of
that
the
far
ranked
behind.
game that I play, but yeah, for these guys.
I mean, his team is pretty far
starting to
behind
get to a point
because
where the Tartarus
Benji's
Titans, if they
rotations
continue
and getting
this
the
pace,
neutral objectives.
could
But
be
I mean,
looking in
they're
theory,
not
could be
out of
looking
it
at
yet, in my
over the
opinion.
next 10 minutes or so. Zapman,
It's kind of
things are
surprising
quieting
for
down
how
luckily for him
bad
over
the
here on
game has
left-hand
looked.
side. Plenty of
Top
pressure pushing
down.
into the Jingwei, but the fact that there's 0 deaths over
He's
there.
gonna
for
go
Zapman, I think,
Contagion into Energy
is a pretty big
Talisman,
indicator of the safety of this
and
pick. I mean,
then
we've hashed and
he'll have
rehashed the
layers will
safety
have
of the
brawlers.
Jingwei and why you might pick up
We need to
something
get
like
Bobby to
this, but I think
12, so we get to
Zapman
Onk.
really showing you why here. There's been so much pressure
And I
pushing
assume
against
Bronek
this
is
left-hand side of
going
the map,
Typhon?
and Zapman's been able to maintain a 0.
Question mark?
in
I
the
feel like
old death count, and
Typhon's
that's
without
important,
Magus
trying
is
to keep
way
scale
worse.
with this Heimdall. It's a 2-level differential, but getting this Jingwei to a point where you can make full value out of the Fafnir and that buff later in the game, very important.
That's
Or Rosary and
combo
Lotus
I
Crown,
think
too.
that's really going to benefit, as you had just highlighted.
I don't even know if
here.
the anti-heal
It's
will
the cheap
matter.
Fafnir, but
Like,
being able to get the team
if
power
Titans
with
play the team
BaRRaCCuDDa
fight to
Soul,
just get the
Zapman,
Onk
Jingwei,
and
like,
get
they
out.
get a
Wait,
Fire
are we?
Giant,
really trying to kill this guy?
Phoenix go down on the side
No
of the
way.
They have such good tower clear and
Okay, the Sunder was just for like,
in that.
aha, I sundered you, I guess.
Scarabs kind of use that to their advantage. The downside is winning.
Oh, is that to come back from? I mean, if you have a clear win con of buying anti-heal, it's not hard, but if Titans play these team fights very, very, very disciplined, and just don't lose.
Whoa, layers
Like, if they like full commit into anti-heal, they'll just lose.
Just shy of connecting. Benji not happy with it though. He'll look for some range underneath the tier 2.
Benji is going full tank, no movement speed.
Primal
Perk,
Fury
though.
is up and
Wait,
available.
no way, no shot, no shot, no shot, no shot, no shot.
We'll help you melt this one down.
What are we doing, boys? What are we doing?
The lone member of the Tartarus
We're giving them a
watch
gold
out for the
fury.
mid lane rotation here.
Why
The
did we
Titans
do
as well.
that?
They're gonna close that gap. Bit of a leash here from the Solar Scarabs as the Titans.
We just
rotate
gave them
in.
gold.
Looks like no pushback this time. The
Why
Titans will
did
grab
we
another
do
fury.
that?
That just showcases, I think, the control the Titans have on the game right now.
Unless we knew Herc was already going to rotate over and we're going to lose that gold anyways, and maybe they don't come,
You
but
don't know where everyone else is. You know
yeah, I
the
don't know.
rotation's about to come through.
That's the only thought process I can think of for why we went for that. Is we knew the Herc was going to come over sometime soon, and they were going to rush gold, so maybe we rush gold before to get it off the map before they can go for it. Still, I mean, still a 3K deficit. I mean, it's not really doing too much. Layers is getting off a good invade here. I mean, this game is still very winnable for Scarabs, in my opinion. It's really not as bad as the game should be. Dude, Sot's ahead in experience. Benevolence is literally OP. Okay, so there was this time I landed against a guy, and it was a Shablanke who got Benevolence. And I stole everything, and I never got ahead of him. And I was just like, how?
And how important that
I'm getting all neutrals and invading purple, and I'm not getting ahead.
But now
Like,
both of them have kind of just
why?
been
Why is this a thing?
catch back up that SOT has had, chilling out and hanging out here in lane. We do have a Cursed Donk pickup. We figured it would be from inbound
Wait,
here. Ticks over to
The
level
spinner
12,
just
picks up
gives
the
up a purple
for
invade?
himself.
Oh, that purple
And
invade
upgrade
literally
that's
just
gonna be
spawns as he...
hyper important here for keeping this Tartarus Titans.
Dude, this game is
up
very
check,
winnable for
but
Scarabs.
we're up to this
We have an
point.
upgraded Ankh.
You know, I think
We have Relic Dagger. We have
Finalizing
full
against healing
anti-heal
is
across the
very
board into a
but in your
very
eyes, has
heavy
healing
healing
really made all
comp.
the difference up to this point. It feels like the
Well,
Titans
we have
just found this big burst of
Vamana
damage
and
time and time
Aurora
again,
just
but
got
the
Ankh
fights haven't
and
necessarily
Sunder,
drawn
so...
out
Yeah.
just yet.
You know, maybe it's
that's
not
because they're
winnable.
playing around some of the anti-heal. I'll hold that thought as Paul gets jumped on there in the mid lane. Does get a little bit of healing. Keeps himself
Maybe,
right around
you know,
half
we
HP.
do have a
Batman
Vamana
pushes
at the
down
end of the
tier
day.
one tower over and left. Titans were considering
You know.
Pyro, maybe FG. It would have been a sneaky FG. But instead,
Oh, it did not work. It did not
Well,
work.
the thing, I think, just carrying on your point there, that makes the Ankh a little bit better, because like you said, the healing hasn't necessarily gotten out of control. It's not the end-all, be-all, because they've just been winning the fights, right? The Titans haven't necessarily had to use the healing afterwards.
Wait,
So
just
as
watch one player? I think I am allowed to
to keep
spectate
someone
in-game,
as
but I like
strong
watching
as
with the
Scarabs, you
casters.
Cyclones
Wait,
can
he did go
fight a little bit longer.
Typhons.
But it's the
Okay, I feel like
upgrades,
Typhons
those are the
has to be
sports out
bad here.
And that's where it makes the big difference to me.
If you're not
because
going
it's not
Magus, I
just the
feel like
anti-heal
Typhons is
anymore.
just bad.
They're taking more damage now, and that is the real key to me. I think it's 20% that you're going to be now receiving, and that is a huge upgrade in the middle of a team fight. You hit 3-4 people with that, you get on the
That is
front line
true,
or the
bro.
front line.
That
It
is
really
true,
doesn't matter.
but
You're going to be able to burn them down.
I think Spinner
Great
will
counter for the
literally
Vamana,
just
but if
two-tap
you're
him.
looking to burn down a Hell, looking to kill off a jungler, that is a great opener
Like,
for inbound. And he's
if
already
Aurora
gone in
upgrades that
aggressive
Sunder,
points to get into their face, so I expect he's going to be
Bobby
sitting
needs to
on
be
his
way
team.
tankier
It's all
and
about
main
the
tank the
follow-up
Heim
that Scarabs.
so
Looks
Sot
like,
can
we're
free
continuing
cast.
on with
Or they
SOT,
need to make the
Dark Contagion,
team fight
Toxic
so
Blade a little bit later
chaotic
on.
Yeah.
Something in the katana
that they
to
can
finish
force
things out.
Spinner out and
I
then
still- I
focus
think
Paul. I think that's the
We can give
only
some
way
love
they
to
can
that
win these
Starlight
fights.
and pick up because it happened after that solo
Wait,
kill.
what?
The Titans were able to get a hold of that.
No
top
way.
because the solar
No way, no way, no way, no way. This is a zap call. This is a zap call. Oh! We got it! Run! Run! Oh, just let Bobby die. Let Bobby die. Yeah. Abort! Abort!
Nothing to do with it. They'll back away.
Oh!
Inbound will be a sacrifice if
Deform!
he's not able to
Deform.
get it in. It looks like he might. That is a big.
Wait,
big
no
win
way.
for the
No, he
Solar
just brought to
Scarabs.
wait!
And that's that burn.
What? He doesn't even need to deform and jump?
Oh,
Oh, his whole team's
I don't know
here!
if you take the
Oh,
fight.
Well,
no!
Scaredy goes in
No
alone,
way.
has to leave
No
immediately
way.
After SOT transforms,
go
we're going to
for
see
it.
the Vamana in action. Rivers Rebuke
Oh.
just walked
Oh.
on through
Oh.
by the Vamana. And
Oh.
SOT now doing his best
Oh.
to chase down Scary D. He'll do you one better. He'll get the kill. The
No
Solar
way.
Scarabs
No
get
shot.
+1.
How does Bobby
See what
ever
he can
live?
do
He
when
doesn't even have
rotates
Thieves
into the fight,
finished.
and he delivers on that one. And Granted, it's 3 towers to 4 right now, right? That's maybe a big
Dude, I thought
swing.
Inbound was just going to jump the wall, instant deform, and jump again, but he literally just walked away.
Are able to at least get a little bit of
How did that happen?
I see a
I'm actually so confused
with a coerce buff that
as to how Bobby ever lives there.
Those towers mean nothing on the side of the Titans right now. And that is a great pickup and just right in the middle of nowhere for the Scarabs to walk into the FG. They knew that nobody was going to be around. I mean, look at the ward coverage. This is a really smart play from them. And a great
Zap
way
just
to
loves
take that
doing
lead that the
objectives.
Titans have
Wait, maybe
and
they
just
saw
strip it
Paul
down.
cross over to red?
To shrink now. Golden XP.
I mean, they do have a
That's
ward
really
on
going
red.
in the wrong direction.
So maybe they saw like someone go over, drop the red, then knew Paul was going to go there or something, but kind of lazy by Titans.
I mean, you'd maybe call things even here, given the value of the FG.
I mean, this is very good for Scarabs.
Oni Fury here on the back end could be a bit of a roundabout engage as SOT throws some damage in towards the Tartarus Titans. A big grouping now from the blue side, leaving Benji on his own over towards the left. These are such sticky, intricate fights. So
Destal Devo's Aussie become meta?
In a moment, the Scarabs will turn around.
How is that good? That can't be good. It just gets anti-healed,
This
right?
is the hard part to re-engage. You both have multiple forms of sustain now. The Fire Giant buff.
This can't be good.
Helpful. But neither of you really have secure. That's the awkward
Like,
part.
he's in a
The reason
contagion
they had
and
to drop that
brawlers.
Primal
Isn't
Fury
just more
earlier.
damage there just
That
better?
soul ult can be helpful, so BaRRaCC might
Am
be
I an
a
idiot?
difference maker.
Okay, Bobby's literally getting
Front
2
line
tapped.
starting to get whittled away. Inbound will transform over to the side. The
Good
Scarabs
pickup.
take down the Oni Fury for the time being, and it looks like yet again
no.
we'll try to leave this fight. Paul,
Oh no, an elongated team fight. Saw doesn't get the ult off.
It's Cyclone Spin who grabs the kill.
Wait,
Now,
Saw was
here's
so
where
greedy there to hold that ult too.
will play a
He
big
should just
role. The Tartarus
ult
Titans
like a
can keep
Fenrir
pushing
there.
forward.
And
Wait,
you've got to
Bobby?
pay attention to in-combat, out-of-combat healing.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
A few more seconds, that healing's going to take a dramatic drop in what it's going to be able to provide. But in the middle of the fight, that's where Paul is going to be incredibly useful.
Saw got his ult off there, he never dies.
Yes,
and he knows
there's
it.
Divine Ruin. Yes, there's the
Unlucky.
contagion there's as well as that Toxic Blade. Now
Wait,
the
hasten.
Katana coming through.
Yes,
Solo
hastened
Troll
and
is
animosity.
about to become, I think, the biggest.
Can't
pressure
Spinner
point
just
the
go
Scarabs
crit
have.
here
Their
and then
win
he
condition,
just
in my eyes,
laughs as he
relies on
2-taps
Solana
Sot?
having success. And based on what we just saw out of that CC train, if his ult's not up, the Titans know how to deal with it.
I don't think he still has to onk, he can just walk away.
It's still 15 seconds.
I mean, I think he's
with that
faster than the rest of the gods in the
Benji
game
has
right
the
now.
push. Back against the wall goes inbound. The left side Phoenix will fall down here shortly, and it looks like that's all the Titans want. You don't often see that, Gormizer. The team
With
gets the FG, gets pushed back in, and their Phoenix ends up falling.
Maybe he
haven't
actually
been
gets
right
chased
there.
down by a
Feels awkward,
Hell
and that's been
Healing
the
plus
game
Emoja
right?
3,
I mean,
potentially?
early on,
I think you're just always
the
ulting
first
there. I mean,
10, 15
obviously
minutes,
Sot knows that
it
too,
was just
in my opinion, that he should have
absolutely
just ulted there.
Nothing from them? I mean,
Right.
it was very much.
But I mean, he
going
has to
straight
be
into the
faster
wall.
there.
And now they're bouncing back. They've had some really good shot
But like
calls.
base and mid
That's
speed
an
faster.
unfortunate moment. No beats, no ult for SOT, so they wasn't really able to clap. But now he has beats and ult with that Hasten Katana pickup as well. Again, I'm harping a lot on this Vamana, but because of what I've seen, BaRRaCCuDDa, Zapman, we know what Soul and Jingwei do in these scenarios. We know what Layers is going to try to do. I mean, go back, watch some of the Johnny games from the like.
How many procs does Vamana ult give? I don't know, Ro might know that.
His performance on Loki changes it. I want to see Layers go for a big loop around, SOT to just pile right through the middle. I mean, just not
Yeah, so that Fire Giant
about
really
the
didn't
O-line for
do
the Titans
anything.
and get back to their essentially to their QB, sack down whoever you can there.
Actually, yeah, that Fire Giant
Given me,
did a
you
lot
can't- you can't be
for
talking about,
Scarabs,
you know,
because they
Bengals
lost the
fans
left
sitting
Phoenix.
next to you, talking about people not
People
caring
getting
about
sacked.
people
So,
not caring
kind
about
of unlucky.
lines. You know who doesn't care about offensive lines? Anyone that plays the Cincinnati Bengals. So there you go. Thanks, Score. I appreciate you putting your chair one on inadvertent blast. I think you didn't mean it, but but we struck a bit of a chord there. We'll see if they can turn it around this season. We'll see if the Solar Scarabs can turn around the way that this game has been going. Zapman has pretty consistently been pushing down this left-hand side of the map, so now it's going to be an open Phoenix on left for the Solar Scarabs as well. But you got to
Maybe
watch
Zap
out for
just split
Benji
pushes.
making a loop.
Oh,
just wore off
Benji.
as well, maybe what 30
Oh, no.
seconds before it
It was
comes
a big
through.
fight.
And Benji, if he gets a good setup or a good pick here with that
He
knockup
did not.
missing,
Oh,
I think
Bob,
this is
that's a
good
crucial
win.
hammer.
Layers does catch the pile drive and a little bit of damage from the excavate. Scary.
Oh,
D
Scary,
looking to
two
re-engage.
tap.
That'll force the ultimate out of Zapman, who has to leave on this
Oh,
Jingwei,
Benji missed
but Benji
again.
continuing
Let
to
me just
push
heal
for
this
the
up.
cooldown
Doesn't
on
even
the pull.
matter.
Will be up just
Now
about
it's just a
6.
question.
The Solar Scarabs will survive on this one. FG is
Do
back up.
we
You got to look towards the ultimates in a moment like
push
this.
left
Scary
or do
used
just
his, Benji
5
used his.
fire?
Zapman has that ultimate down. But you imagine still.
'Cause I don't think we'll
I don't know,
lose
wishy-washy
the
is not a
left
great
wave
word, but
too
still in a
quickly.
balance
If we
enough that
stall
this would be a
fire,
risky
we don't
one for the
lose
Tartarus Titans
to.
immediately go for the FG.
the minions
they might
too
do it.
quickly, unless there's like a giant wave. Maybe we just wait for the wave to crash on Titan, and then we send Zap back, and then he clears the wave, runs back into Fountain, and then flies out to fire. But Titans can tank fire for literally ever because they have so much healing. With Hell and Emoja.
I doubt he's worried about anything, let alone.
Yeah, I think the only killable person right now is Scary. If Scary like overcommits.
Look,
I'm more interested to see what Sot does this
game,
or in the team fights, but with Left Phoenix being down, Sot's gameplay gets way worse in my opinion.
Something I will admit.
Because fighting a 4v5 with this Vermont build just seems really bad.
Max health as magical damage to enemies and structures feels pretty good when you're using that for your basic attacks, and it fits into the playstyle of Vamana. So I like him getting aggressive and just beating on.
Oh, we're sending Layers back. Interesting, because Layers can literally never be here.
He's a big playmaker as well, and that's the strongest part. The AAs on the side of the Scarabs are just too strong.
Agreed. No, look,
all flanking. Because he can't die.
There's a bit of an advantage here for the Tartarus Titans as Layers has had to go back.
Oh, what a jump by Scary.
The minions that made their way in onto the Titan. Excavate flies on over towards the left. Is inbound left alone. Has to transform here, and that'll keep him in the fight just a bit longer. SOT swinging away on Scary D. Will the Vamana be able to do enough? Yes, he will for the time being.
He's here. Wait, what? How?
Grab another. No, Cyclone spin turn.
How did he live so long? He was literally one.
The back line of the Solar Scarabs. It's Hercules against the world here on the right-hand side. Paul rotates in for a double. It's 3 down for the
How did he live so long?
Look, this is one of those things. The Titans are just carrying on what they started.
Literally 1 HP.
Right? In the lead, they had the level advantage.
I actually want to go back and watch that.
Focus. I mean, they had to invest a lot.
Did they just stop hitting him? I thought he was full anti-heal.
But Bobby goes in and inbound. Unfortunately for him, it loses half his health bar before the Scarabs are really ready to engage. I think there's where some of the communication, some of the issues are cropping up for them. It's just when they want to fight.
Yeah, they had to stop DPS.
I think that's still a good-looking fight for the Scarabs.
No, Sot should definitely die there, 100%.
I mean, they take advantage of everything that has been given to them. The early game, they won it hard enough. They were able to translate it. They lost that FG with a great call from the Scarabs. With this one, oh, they're not stressed at all. They've cleaned that up easily. And with a, 6,000 gold lead now, 2 Phoenixes that are still exposed, 1 that got taken down by those fire minions again, they are in prime position to just take this game.
If anything, the Scarabs FG made the gold a little bit more interesting, but the Titans still able to find a Phoenix underneath that initial fire.
Yeah, I just don't think Sot should ever live that long.
No sweat off the Tartarus Titans back, not at least in that moment. Look, nobody's been able to find Paul here. SOT had his best look in that fight. It was a 4v1. And SOT got a kill and nearly another over onto Paul, but Cyclone Spin and was able to get enough damage in on there.
Yeah, I saw that too, Blitz.
To win any sort of game when the opposing mid laner is 5-0-4.
Oh, it seemed like
with the
for like
Paul has
4 seconds, bro.
And it's so difficult because we've talked about SOT and that being the answer.
Oh yeah, they did both Aegis at the same time.
You got to throw some eyes towards Layers. I think you did as well, talking about, hey, you need to wrap around the back, find something here. Outside of SOT, the backline just hasn't been under pressure.
And that's the biggest issue.
I mean, I don't think Zap can really get off damage this game.
He's getting melted because
Benji's been fed from the beginning. You can't really auto-attack trade Scary.
It's a lot of archers.
Aurora hasn't really given him like damage farming opportunities.
Sorry, not Fire Minions. Fire Giant on your side.
There you go, you can clear it.
That's where things are going to be a little more choppy right now. The defense from the Scarabs, it's going to be big, but like you said, you have to look at Layers.
Yeah, it looked like he was full anti-heal.
As well. I mean, Zapman's got less damage than inbound right now. He's got to be able to get in these fights.
That's right. The Jingwei has just not been there. On one side, it feels like the backline has had free and clear opportunity to free cast the entire game. On the other side, it's felt like the exact
It was a little weird in my opinion to go Void Shield here on Layers.
One win here as
really doesn't really do anything.
Underneath the mid lane Phoenix, but has he been off
buying
just a little bit too much here.
Sot?
Stunned down
Ooh,
on
nice.
the side, and SOT finds the
stop
kill.
him!
Has got to get something here, but instead SOT, he'll press down on the gas pedal. He'll look
oh my goodness!
I mean, that's an unfortunate moment there.
Hell!
Lose Layers, but SOT
we love Hell.
I think it is a big key.
We love Hell.
The bus since I just did it the zap, but Layers barely has more damage
That
than Inbound
was-
right now. But they have to defend Dave.
Oh,
This is where
something.
things get so awkward. Those fire minions on left, soon enough on right, are going to cause so much
Oh,
trouble.
BaRRaCCuDDa goes down to Cyclone Spin, now inbound, backing away towards his own fountain here. All 3 Phoenixes are going to be down. Hey, sustain. This is another moment where you want a little bit of it on your side. Fire Minions have already done some serious work to the Titan here. It's down to half HP, and it'll be down to 0 HP shortly. Paul will end this game unstoppable, and the Tartarus Titans grab a win just shy of 30 minutes.
So hell works. Is
Yeah,
what I
Paul
learned
being
out of
top
that
player
one, but
damage
7
is
out of
an
5,
issue.
like he said, effective
Cool with
of
me.
12 kills. Feels pretty good to be able to pick that one up and run it the way they did. But I think the Scarabs had a lot of answers that looked good. It
I
just
really
didn't
hope
execute. I
healers
think if
don't
you're
come back
able
in the
to
meta.
not be in such a large deficit
Like,
going into that mid game, right?
healer
if they
metas
cleaned up that
are
early game,
so
they
lame,
transitioned
man.
so much better into those
So
mid-game fights. I
lame.
think a lot of that was fighting from behind anyway. They could keep up a lot of the themes, at least, of that draft, especially against what the Titans brought. And I think it works better if they play it a second time.
Tartarus Titans, look, their hot streak continues. That they fall out of the Phase 1 playoffs maybe earlier than they had wanted to, but coming into Phase 2, they're starting to look good here in their first set up against the Solar Scarabs. We'll see if they can replicate, though, in Game 2 right after this.
Healers are only good if they're on my team. Or healer metas, sorry. Alright, chat, playing ads, be back.
Season 8, I'm sure our players are going to take their game to the next level. But in order to do that, they're going to need the best gear they can get their hands on. And that's why I'm so excited to announce the title sponsor for Season 8 of the SPL is Alienware. Yeah, that Alienware.
Oh, a standing desk yet? I haven't found
Our
one
players
that's
are getting the
big
best of
enough
the best in computer gaming.
or as big
These
as this
Alienware
desk
Aurora Ryzen Edition PC setups
with a
are
price that I
insane.
want to pay.
Not
Because I have a
only
rather
will these
large
be the
desk.
PCs that the players will compete on once we are in studio, but Alienware is also providing
yeah,
one for
it's,
each player at their home setup to make sure their practice is as good as possible. Now let's get down to brass tacks. The specs on these Alienware Aurora Ryzen Edition desktops are amazing. An AMD Ryzen 9 16-core processor.
Yeah, the ones that are really big are really expensive.
Plenty of cores.
If you want to stream, this is the way to go.
I know a lot about my cores, so I mean Pilates.
I don't like a price
64
range.
gigabytes of DDR4 RAM.
What? Is that true?
That is true. I mean, this thing has 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM.
I have very
Which you can do literally
anything.
nice.
Literally anything.
I've never had more than 16 gigs.
That's quadruple the amount I have at home.
And one of the hottest commodities in the PC world, an NVIDIA GeForce 3090 graphics card.
Insane how much better this is than what I have.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra.
Oh
of
my.
course.
Content's gonna look good.
And what's the point of all the power if you can't see it? Players will also be using the Alienware 25-inch 240 Hz monitors. Man, when I load into scrims with this bad boy, I'm gonna feed so hard. And it's gonna be in perfect picture quality. We are so excited to be partnering with Alienware for Season 8 of the Smite Pro League. And the best part is, this VIP treatment, it's not just for the pros. You too can get the best possible Smite experience. Just go to smitegame.com/Alienware and use code SMITEAW
That desk is
to get special discounts on some of Alienware's best products. Thanks again to Alienware. Make sure you're following them on Twitter, on Instagram.
Free delivery and
That's
free
at Alienware
returns.
on both platforms. And you can join their community at alienwarearena.com.
And you're telling me an alien wore this?
Said it.
Thanks again to Alienware for being the title sponsor of the Smite Pro League here in Season 8. Of course, we are also running a giveaway currently that you got to be getting in on. You can type !giveaway in the chat or head on over to Smite Pro on Twitter and check out their pinned tweet. All you've got to do is enter. They are giving away 5 25-inch Alienware gaming monitors. And Mifflin and I were literally just talking about it. We really
maybe
wish we
I
had
could
some
get
of these.
away
These
with
things
a
are
smaller
absolutely nuts.
desk.
They really are, man. My monitor, I'm pretty sure,
But-
only is like 30 hertz. I've got a beast
Get like one of
PC.
those
I'm running Smite 150
really good,
frames.
like,
I
monitor
promise my stream
stands?
might not reflect it.
A
but
laptop?
I'm
Oh,
only
I
seeing
did,
30,
but then
man. You
Destiny
gotta get a
broke it.
monitor like this.
Got to get a monitor like that, absolutely. Now, before we get into breaking down this game, I do have to harken back something that happened in the pregame of game number 1. Mifflin laughed at me whenever I talked about Season 2 and Season 3 in my gaming career. Mifflin, these are our career KDAs in competitive Smite. You want to look
up
down?
our KDAs?
That's a
Wait, are you
3.6
including
for me.
SPL for me?
Probably.
Well, don't do that.
I don't know. Too bad. 2.3 over there, looking mighty low, if you ask me. There's a 3.6 you're looking at right here, and maybe you give a little bit of respect to that, huh?
I was out there playing against the BaRRaCCuDDas, the Omegas, the Bushes, the Zero Garzes. You had to compete against
You!
me.
I had to compete against you, and it was free for me. That's
I
what
literally
was
retired
saying.
you.
You won one game.
And you
won
quit after
one
that.
game.
And
I
you
got
quit.
hired after that.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
You're welcome, Hi-Rez.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mifflin, because where do you think you would be if it weren't for that? And we're bringing it down.
Here,
Okay.
still?
Yeah, probably not. Anyways, we'll see what happens here as we move along in this death segment. I don't know if we're going to be able to
That was a
recover
lot.
from this point. We've already gotten a little bit too animated. The
Well,
Solar Scarabs
attention.
nearly make the comeback happen in game number 1, but it's ultimately a little
Chat,
bit
what's
too
a
much.
good price
and the
for a
Tartarus
triple
Titans are the
monitor
victors.
holder?
The healing came through in a big way, Miff, and despite the cursed donks and despite the Fire Giant call that worked out really well for the Scarabs, it just wasn't enough.
I saw 2 critical mistakes from the Solar Scarabs.
Yo,
they
Tigers,
weren't
welcome back.
utilizing
Thanks
their
for the 40. Welcome
separate
back.
onk
EMT
timing
promises. Thanks for
properly.
the pin.
Very often in these team fights, you
Auto
see
renewal,
one onk
animation,
pop
dirty
through,
play,
hit 4
lights out,
people,
yesterday on a
and
patch,
then literally
wanna
half
play,
a
can't
second
wait to
later,
see y'all pop
another
off
onk
without
pops through. You
booties.
gotta stagger those cooldowns if you want to
Thanks,
find
man.
the full value. And the other issue
back.
is how many times was
how's
SOT
this guy
able to
live?
close gap onto Paul in this hell and just didn't have enough backup to finish off these kills. This clip right here, a perfect example of it.
That is so sad.
He was slamming this hell for, what,
All right, chat,
10
what about
seconds
this?
unmitigated, just didn't have the help he needed to finish off these critical kills.
A lot of really close calls for SOT, who made the Vamana look really good, I thought. This was the low light, though, as he nearly got the solo kill on the Benji. So close. One auto.
Oh, no.
And then Benji pulls him back and lets the minions do the dirty work for him. Easy solo kill for Benji right there.
Let me
The backline was just a little bit too much for the
whatchamacallit?
solo Scarabs in this game. Paul on the Hell and Cyclone on the Heim, just really difficult to lock down.
It was, man, and you'd think that they had the tools, the Scarabs that is, to lock it down. You've got gods like Loki who can just close gap incredibly easily, use that Assassinate to get involved as quickly as you want. You got gods like Vamana who can just sit on this hell for as long as you want, but it just, even throughout all of that, the Tartarus Titans were able to withstand that aggression and then utilize their healing yet again to win out in these elongated team fights, despite what was a incredibly good call for the Fire Giant from Solar Scarabs. That's nuts that they were able to go into it. They were 8-2, I believe was the slash line, or 2-8 rather. They were not the ones with 8 kills, but get the Fire Giant on 4 members, but it kind of fizzled from there. They weren't quite able to push it into the towers.
Really, really good objective play in that game from the Scarabs, but subpar team fighting is the way I would put it. You're not going to be able to beat a team with that much sustain if you don't team fight well, and that's really what ends up being their downfall in this game. That being said, Scarabs in Game 1 usually pretty rough. That's historically what they were in Phase 1. Sometimes really bad in those Game 1s. And then no matter how bad they were, no matter how much they lost by, Game 2, and a lot of times Game 3,
like
they end up looking a lot better. We'll see if that's the case. We headed to pick some bans here for Game number 2.
Wait, what did I just
This
say?
team has been mentally tough throughout this season, and we're going to see that here on the
7 tenths.
Yeah,
Sorry.
remnants of their PK days.
7.5.
Man's veteran
7,
leadership. That man has
7.5.
impenetrable mental. It's absolutely ridiculous how much punishment he can take on the battleground and then pop back up and say, all right, you can't do it again. You can't do it for 70 actual human minutes.
Like 35.
Very often people can't do it for that long. That seems to be the strategy for the Solar Scarabs. They make every team they play against absolutely earn every single win.
Well, this time it's the Solar Scarabs in that first
big enough
position. Swap from last time around, I do believe. And they lead off with the Athena ban. Why?
Well, I could just rattle off what makes Athena good.
Sure.
She's got pretty strong early game. Her laning phase is deceptively strong. If you level that first ability first, it means that you really can just find a ton of damage as well as a slow to set up for your squad. That global presence is still incredibly strong as well.
Sure.
But the argument I think you're trying to lean towards is it's an argument of scale. What's better than Athena? Well, there's probably a fair bit of stuff.
Wait, if I buy this monitor stand, I get
maybe these guys have just been scrimming each
from
other.
Honey.
Athena's been popping off in the scrims recently. That's all I can guess.
Maybe. I mean, Athena is good.
She's real good.
I don't know that she needs to be banned this high up, but the Scarabs certainly scared of what the Titans would do with the goddess in their hands, so they keep it out of the hands of Aurora and or Benji and or Scary on the other side. As Robin once again banned by the Solar Scarabs, so now you're in a position where Gilgamesh could be open.
Does it actually work? Yeah, dude. Wait, go through my link below. It helps me out. And Honey's amazing. Wait, that's actually the biggest like.
On their own. They leave open Raijin, they ban the Gilgamesh, as expected in my mind, for what we've seen from that Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
And now the Scarabs
Honey works.
kind of have an easy first pick if they want it. They know that the Titans have a lot of respect for BaRRaCCuDDa's Raijin, and they could go for it first overall.
Could go towards the Raijin. King Arthur still available as well, but instead it's going to be the Soul
Wait,
Lock.
I
think that's
the
not
center monitor
too
doesn't
far
come
below
forward.
Raijin in that priority list. She still has great survivability. It opens you up to that Double Hunter-esque composition in that you can just pick up a Fafnir and whatever
Honey
physical
link
hunter
below
you
my
want, and then all of
stream.
a sudden every single
Honey's
objective
amazing.
on the map is wet paper to you. So I like what
ego
this
you
Soul
again?
brings
Wait, what did I ego you
insofar
about
as
last
threat
time?
Inside of your composition, but
Yeah, I don't know if I
maybe
can
some
buy this
better
'cause the
options. The
first
Titans,
one
though,
doesn't come
that's an
forward.
interesting first selection. Raijin and King Arthur still out there.
Yep. Raijin and King Arthur still available. They decided to go neither way. They go Fenrir Loki instead.
How wide?
Definitely loses that flex pick potential for the
60.
Fenrir. We've seen Scary D play it very well. Now we know that it's almost certainly going to be Scary on the Loki, and that leaves basically just Aurora. I guess Fenrir can play solo, but most of the time you'd expect it to go to support. So now it's Aurora with Fenrir, and he's going to be going up against a Horus on the other side, a pick that we don't see very much of, but Horus Danza is a really good kill lane. Like, that is a lot of kill pressure.
It's just really good chain CC. Horus moves up with a fracture, knocks him up, lands inside of a taunt, and both of those also are really good tools to deal with Fenrir Brutalize. If that's going to be your main source of damage inside of support, he's almost never going to be able to channel it, I'm thinking, as long as Horus is keeping up in rotations. Might have to shift up the ability level order. This Fenrir might max out the Unchained first.
Certainly could be the case. Or the Seething Howl, very popular to max as well. Just
it's
get that
back.
physical power. As Hell, once again, for Paul, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose. And the Solar Scarabs, Soul Danza, that is a good amount of burst, and Danza can close the gap onto the Hell a lot better than the Jingwei could. But you still feel like Paul was under so little pressure in that game for everyone not named Solo or Troll that he doesn't have to worry too much about what he's seeing on the map so far.
No, this is not enough dive. I was thinking if we were going to see adaptation from the Solar Scarabs, if we saw Hell again,
that one doesn't go forward,
that
right?
Vamana matched up with something that can match that dive, be it a jungler like Ratatasker or Thor who could just close gap, or another warrior or something along those lines that could just stick inside the backline. But so far, I do not quite see that adaptation for the Solar Scarabs. So with 2 picks still available to them, they can absolutely shift up the pace here. One thing I do want to see, though, earlier Ankh. I want to see a first slotted Ankh up against this Hell. It's so much better than just about anything else you can pick up against it.
Warriors 2-0.
You kind of blink on Horus, though, don't you? I mean,
you're right.
You kind of need it in order to engage a lot of the time. Maybe that's going to be the pickup for him. As Hercules, once again, if it ain't broke, Titans aren't fixing it.
Now you really want the Ankh earlier on, right? That's a ton of healing.
That is true. Plenty of healing, once again, for the Titans, but no Umoja this time around at the very least. Scarabs have a little bit of healing already. So you got that going for you with the Horus. Guan Yu now being hovered, and the Scarab's going to lock in some sustain of their own.
Yeah, Horus and Guan together. Danza Burrow heals himself, and Soul offers herself a little bit of regeneration as well. So that might be enough threat of sustain to force the Titans to look towards an Ankh, or at least a Toxic Blade, Brawler's Beatstick, something along those lines to match up. But this Susano pick, I really do like. Hell is very susceptible to ganks in the early game. Got to be very aware of Susano's positioning if you want to deal with his second ability.
You can't tell today, man.
This could be one way to make sure Paul doesn't hit the ground running like he did in Game 1.
Yeah, plenty of damage in a god that can build Brawler's Beatstick pretty well, but squishy. And Hell, when you're DPS racing a Hell, it can be pretty difficult, especially when you're in melee range, and that's exactly where Susano has to be. But you got plenty of mobility here for the Scarabs. CC, maybe a little light, I would say, but sustain, damage, they scale pretty well. Their objective damage is still pretty good. I think the Scarabs should be pretty happy with what they came up with.
They've got a good draft here. Both squads running quadruple physical, only one soul magical on each side. Soul, not a pun intended, and Hell on the other end there. I like these drafts a lot. Surprised to see Chiron somehow making it all the way through to 10th pick. That god has been absolutely dominant here in Season 8. I think that maybe it could have been a slight oversight to let that one through so far, but I like it. It's just about adaptation on play on field now. It's whether or not the Solar Scarabs can close gap onto this Hell. Last time around, it was just SOT, but now with Danza Burrow's rocket, with Horus's ability to relocate the entire team, should have a little bit of help back there.
Yeah, maybe he just drop ships the whole team right on top of the
Get
Hell.
her!
Yeah, everyone attack, and particularly that guy. And you've got the dive to do it now with the Guan Yu in addition to that.
So many
on the other side, the
mounts.
peel seems to be not too bad from the Titans. I mean, you've got the cleanse, you've got double cleanse now between Hell and Chiron, so that CC pretty telegraphed coming from Horus, telegraphed coming from Guan Yu, telegraphed coming from Danza Burrow. Between the two cleanses, I don't know how often that CC is really going to land.
You gotta hope that the damage is gonna land then, right?
Yeah.
If the CC isn't gonna be good enough, the ultimate CC is the grayscale screen, and damage galore is what the Solar Scarabs have. Soul's poke from a range, as well as their ultimate for burst, and as you already highlighted, their objective burn is incredibly strong as well. Solar Scarabs utilized that incredibly well in Game 1, able to steal away that Fire Giant. And by steal away, I mean right under their noses, not legitimately stealing it. But maybe that's
when
the
a
strategy
monitor
to do
is
it here
like
again.
Maybe. I mean, they don't have the Fafnir this time around, which was a big deal. But Horus certainly sets you up for a lot of those
when it
types
says
of tricky plays.
23-inch monitor, is that from like corner to corner?
A little bit more front to back, I would say, with their team
is
fighting.
that like
they're going to let their Hercules and their
left
Fenrir
or right?
set up for the back line, kill the dude that we CC, kill the next dude we CC, kill the next dude we
From corner to
CC.
corner?
That's kind of the way that it looks like their composition is going to play out.
And they've got decent targets for it. Fenrir, with the Ragnarok ultimate, is going to be able to burn beads from one person consistently every time, which is going to limit what Layers is able to do on the Susano. He's going to have to likely go for beads in that first slot, which again is going to limit his ability to close gap onto this Hell. Solar Scarabs have their work cut out for them, but now that they're matching the sustain a little bit, likely liking their odds a little bit more so in these elongated fights.
Yeah, maybe some elongated fights on both ends. Because they have the room for the blinks and the beads and the sunders and the onks, that they're going to need. has to be seen. We'll see if maybe the back line needs to pick up some of those things. Let's throw it over to mythology expert Dave Olson for the cast.
Fun fact, I'm actually not the mythology expert here. It was Gormizer who told me all those fun facts, and then I told them to aggro via direct message. I slid into his DMs while he was on the desk just now. And Gore, it's Loki is the father of Hel and Fenrir and a whole bunch of others that you told me. But,
I
but
told
as
you
far
about
as this game goes,
Odin's 8-legged horse.
yeah, that's we're getting into weird territory enough with Fenrir. But an 8-legged horse being
he was admittedly, so he's the father. If I'm correct about it, the father of Hel and Fenrir, but the mother of the horse.
Got it.
So
I just turned my monitor
good
off.
for,
Norse mythology's got some weird stuff in it, man.
It sure does. But look,
it's fun though.
And here's if we're re-rounding this
I'm
out
confused,
into
chat.
game number 2 between the Tartarus Titans and the Scarabs here. I would like to see that this Loki do something this game,
Be
right?
the father of some plays.
Some plays, right? I mean, look, it's nothing against layers. I think game number 1, it was just so difficult to find anything going there. I mean, there was such an offensive push from the Titans. It felt like in so many of those fights where layers maybe just didn't have the opportunity. So now that Loki's back and available, Gore, I'm ready to see some good plays here. Layers, though, trying to turn things around. We'll get some damage in onto ScaryD. Looking for a little bit more, though. BaRRaCCuDDa misses just an auto or 2 on the back end. So ScaryD down to half. Layers just a bit healthier. But you got to be careful, BaRRaCCuDDa. You stepped a touch too far forward. But usually as these things go, no deaths just yet in the mid lane.
I'm curious now.
It
again,
says it's
playing
24
against the Hel
inches,
makes it a lot
but
harder
I
to
measure it
deal
this
with.
way,
You're
and
gonna
it's
go in,
22.
You're going
Right, your
to deal
heart's
some
in it, right?
damage.
Wait, is it
might
just-
burst them down. If you don't get the kill, though, they
What?
laugh at you.
How do
as
they
well.
measure
Like,
monitors?
With the Hel, theoretically, you're not going to have as much.
Oh,
There's still wards healing that is
okay,
going
I
to come
get it.
through.
I get it,
And then the
chat.
self-sustain that, the
That's
soul
weird.
will bring.
Why
It's
would
not
they
going to
say
be
it
an
like
easy
that?
time for ScaryD, but I'm excited to see what he can bring.
That was a jump from Aurora in onto Zapman, who has to use the beads here, but my goodness, the damage he has taken
My
on
goodness.
the back end of that fight. Yeah, you think the lane
My
in game
goodness.
1 was aggressive against Zapman. Now you've got a
No longer
Chiron
confused.
and a Fenrir.
I got it. I
jumping
figured it
at
out.
you, and you're a Danza.
It
without
turns
beads
out,
now for
chat,
the next
I'm an
140
idiot.
seconds.
I mean, the whole draft, like, save for Hel, really, on the side of the Titans, and to an extent, the way Paul plays Hel, I think, fits into this. They just want to fight. I mean, look at this. ScaryD's
Whoa,
already
oh!
going in and gets the kill.
No, and he melts down layers with ease.
Well.
BaRRaCCuDDa is going to survive underneath his own tower here.
Well,
That's what Loki does, right? That's maybe
Wow.
what was missing just a bit from game number 1. Paul just a bit of damage away from grabbing this kill onto BaRRaCCuDDa. We'll see what pathing ScaryD chooses to take here. This would be aggressive.
Oh.
Should either of the two of them try to keep going here. You've got
Well.
BaRRaCCuDDa out of the fight. You've sent him back to base. That's enough for the Titans here. ScaryD starting to make a bit of a journey out of this map. He'll get first blood over in mid lane. Now blue buff invade on right.
I can't think of anything to exemplify my point a little bit stronger. This team just, like, the Titans draft wants to fight. They want to fight early. They want to win the game fast.
They wanna
This
scrap.
is a team that admittedly translates, I think, pretty well into the late game. I think Cyclone will look pretty good there. Same thing for Aurora. Scary, it remains more on playstyle shift as it does that necessarily like the god scaling. Hercules, we just saw, can do really well in the late game as well for Benji. So, for the most part, the Titans are feeling comfortable.
Stop rushing a
and
starter
should be
item again this
able to
game.
be a good driving factor in this game. But I like the group up once again from the Scarabs. I think
Agreed.
the team fight, the way they can play together, is definitely going to lend itself to their style and things like that. But I mean, you had mentioned it. I see Fenrir Chiron against the lane. I'm Zapman. I'm kind of wishing I was Jingwei again, not because of anything.
I mean,
late
that was
game,
a good
just
play by
because I wanna be
Scary.
able to escape
Right.
so regularly. I mean, Danza should be able to stay alive here. In fact, with Horus, should be able to put some pressure back on
They just
the
really did
Titans,
not
but
think they were going to die
it's
there.
going to be a very difficult early game for the Scarabs. I honestly just want to see them float.
Well, now it's inbound with maybe some help from Layers on the back end here, getting a kill onto Aurora. Layers is going to rotate into lane. He's blinked on through here.
Oh!
Teleport right back to the Fenrir, and now Layers has got
Okay.
a kill on the board here, and that's exactly what
Scarabs?
you need. You don't want this Danza.
Scarabs have
this
done the
Horus to
same
fall
thing
behind.
both
That's
games.
when
Oh!
it's a little
Oh!
bit difficult here. Could there
Oh!
be a solo kill? Yes, there is, but this time
Redemption!
it's onto Benji, grabbing it for
So
the
Scarabs
Solar
have done the same
Scarabs, a
thing
much
both
better start
games.
here.
They were
Still down to
losing,
gold
and
a
then they
little
just
bit.
instantly
Solar
go to
Scarab
do
chunks
and try to
of
make.
life.
I mean, in a
Oh,
good
Sot,
scenario,
you
in
cannot
my
be
favor,
serious,
Scary,
Sot.
I mean, he should be able to get
Sot!
a
Should be a
kill.
kill, right? Yeah, should be a kill from ScaryD. It's a dash
Sot!
out from SOT, and at this point, SOT just trying to turn around as much damage as he can. Maybe we'll do you one better, but the stun from ScaryD has to use the ultimate. Grabs the kill nonetheless over onto SOT. Still one level lead, though, for the Guan Yu out of solo.
Still has to use the ult, like you said. That's maybe the biggest caveat. Hey, I'm going to die here. I'm going to make you waste as much as I possibly can. Get rid of the ult. Oh, that's an ult that you can't use on BaRRaCC. An ult you can't use on layers. Or
He had to be like
so
one wave
like
off of boots or
because
something,
if you're gonna die,
right?
get the most out
He
of it.
had to be one wave off
So
of boots.
Works out really well for SOT, ultimately because he gets the solo kill on top of that. But those are the proactive plays. I mean, layers. Name one play where he made something like that happen in game one.
Had to be like
I
one wave off
genuinely
boots,
can't off the top of my
100%.
head.
Right?
Maybe early on there was one, but
No way
for the
Sot
majority of
stays
game,
for
he
that
really wasn't able
unless
to
he's
be a
like
force, out of the jungle
finishing boots
like
off
you'd
of
like
that
to
wave,
see.
and he's just gonna
I think
hope
this is
the
a good
Loki's
start
not
for
there.
him. Granted, it's 2-0 over there for Scary D.
Yeah,
but
missing the
ultimately,
blue
I think
too,
Loki is a little
man.
bit easier to handle and play around later
That
on.
just gets
Sonic
scary
is
so
much
far
more
ahead.
AoE, a lot more control on the pace of the fight.
Uh-oh, Scary D doesn't have the ultimate, but he's got plenty of damage for BaRRaCCuDDa. Paul will heal himself on up, but no matter. Layers is found. The 1v1 kill here. Aurora will jump back in. Full runes means stun, and that means kill. From the Fenrir over onto Layers. It's going to be a drop ship on in, but nothing to be found here for inbound. So, we've now seen this a lot. Layers being proactive, and then an answer back from the Titans. And so if you're being proactive, you tend to feel good about some of these trades.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
think
not the
that at
worst
this pace,
trade.
They're, I mean, slowly
No
pushing
way.
the phone
No way
line.
BaRRaCCuDDa
It's
dies
the
for being
stuff, not the
lazy.
stuff, to quote everyone.
His ult. Oh, man, it's a jump
Oh!
in from Aurora.
Oh!
Ragnarok sends
Oh.
inbound to the side. And now it's Aurora with another kill on board, too, now.
Hello.
For the Fenrir. Inbound is going to try to find a kill here onto Aurora, but Cyclone Spin rotates on in, and looks like Layers was in there as well. So no longer do either team want to fight. Definitely risking death hanging around any further.
It's the what they're picking up after the fights right now, right? I mean, 3 to 4 kills, that's not a lot.
That's very
They're
slack
able
right
to
now.
burn down
Whoa!
Paul like it's nothing. It's good pickup.
I couldn't tell
It's
if the
still about
cams were
1,500 gold
desynced and they were about to like
difference,
win a
and it's
fight
where
or something, but
buff
Scary was
engines
literally
earlier
laughing
on came into
when
this,
Paul was
right?
dying.
A little bit more control on the map as a whole from the Titans has led to a small early lead.
Let's see more
But
Susano in the
fact
SPL.
that
His
the
early
Scarabs
game is
aren't
not
shying
great.
away from that really speaks, I think, more than
Hey,
any amount of gold at this
baby.
point really does. I think a lot of it that's falling in favor of the Titans
Yeah,
is
man.
made up for the fact that Layers is just absolutely running house right now. And I want to see him
Yeah,
continue
Titans
to
matches
start
are
here.
literally always
Still
arena
behind
matches.
on
They're
the
really
board.
enjoyable to
You both
watch.
have 2 kills. You're just
And fun to
slightly
play,
behind
honestly.
in terms of levels.
Because they will
That's
literally
about
just
it that you
run it
really
down
have
and
to
just
be
fight you
stressed about. If
nonstop.
you can kill off Paul and stop him from being this powerhouse.
Which, in
that
my
he's called,
opinion, isn't a
he's
bad
got
idea if you're a
200%
team
more
trying
deaths
to
than he
mesh
did last
together.
time. I don't know if that's out percentage.
Because it kind of forces you to.
Don't ask me, Gore. If
Infinite
forces you to
between
mesh.
the 2 of us, any of us are going to know about percentages. It's you. So don't look at me.
He's died more this game.
There we
There's
go.
the-
Yeah, see,
the-
now you're speaking my language.
absolutely true.
Now we're in my territory. He definitely has.
I do
died
think
more going on. I'll give
sometimes,
you a nod and a thumbs up on that one. Inbound find some aggression here.
Susano will just
On a
die.
Cyclone Spin, Zapman trying to retreat. Will come out of stealth as Aurora rounds the corner here. There are beads for the Dons over
Zap
the
has a
weave
one
damage
here?
coming through, and Zapman will not be able to survive as BaRRaCCuDDa melts down Scary D. Another 1-for-1 trade here, and this one is Aurora is able to survive.
And look, this I feel bad for what I'm about to say, but
You said that in game 1, and I liked what you said, so let's hear what you had to say here.
once
in game
again, they could do that 7 more times to Zapman. Make him 0-8, right? But every
The
single
thing
time that trade's
is-
going to be worthwhile because Scary D, especially at this point,
Susanoo
is
needs to
providing
get gone
more to the
on.
Titans. We have seen some really
Like, if Susano's able to play the fight how he wants to play it, he's really good. But if he gets pressured, in my opinion, it's pretty bad.
And so it's one of those trades, if you put a lot of pressure onto one person right now, I mean, look at the kills. It's splattered all over the board. But if they do start to focus a little more on this duo lane, it's more beneficial for the Scarabs. And at the same time, I think Tanzaburo is still going to be able to get his damage done later on. He's not necessarily going to be bullied as heavily late game, I think, as he could be right now. So I don't know that Zap has much to worry about right here. I think actually the Scarabs are playing this not just incredibly well, but the way that they're going
is
to
Bobby
sail
going
right now, the fact that
sledge?
they're keeping pace. I had said it last time that if they didn't lose that early game lead, they would have had the play style and the plays made to win game number 1. Right now they're keeping even. We'll just have to see if they can keep up this pace to make sure that they're always on point.
Ideally, as a Danza, you're in a position where you can use that rocket to get in, and you're happy to be in their face instead of being nervous. And Zapman still within that realm of even at this point with Cyclone Spin. 0-1-2 for him, 0-1-1 for Cyclone. We'll see if this fight has anything to say about it, though. A roar with the Ragnarok might be able to chase down one instead. It's a double dash away.
Dude.
One is the rocket, one is the dash, and Zapman
Oh,
ends up
spinner
getting
roll
pulled
last,
through, and
man.
Scary D rotates on in. Perfect timing. 4-1-2 for Scary D on this Loki. And things were somewhat even.
Yeah, I think if
between
Zap
Layers
just kept
and Scary
walking
D there
straight,
for a
he
minute.
never
And Layers
dies
has
there,
actually made
but
some very proactive plays on the
I don't know
Susano.
what lasted.
Towards a 2,000 gold
It lasts 5
differential
seconds,
and
right?
8 100 or so of it lies between the two.
That's what I'm saying,
jumpers.
Badkins.
That's pretty good. That's a lot. Like,
It's
it
literally
doesn't
so
seem like
long.
too much. I guess admittedly it's maybe what a tier
Like,
1 item that you're going to
sure.
be able
He
to
ulted at the beginning of a rocket, chased the whole rocket, switched to Bobby, switched back to Zap. I mean, maybe we just can't tell time, but that seemed very long.
Probably, I mean, I guess it could be a Transcendence. I'm thinking of the other one, Hydra's Lament. There's the item name that I was trying to think of. You build over into that, and you're feeling just fine as a Loki. 4-1 and 2. Again, being able
I'm not
to
sure
pick
if
up
I
the
like
line. He's been banned
Sledge here for
most
Bobby.
games this week.
I feel like he should
except
just
for
be
the
doing
last
what
game in
Aurora's
this
doing
game.
and just going
Last game
soft.
he didn't get to show off why he deserved to be banned as much. And so ScaryD is putting on at least a little bit of a show. But it is that playstyle shift, similar to a Thanatos, right? Thanatos could go 4-1 and 2 in the first 10 minutes of the game. He's an absolute menace and devastating to you. But it might not translate into his late game play.
ScaryD does get his back stopped here, and his beads will get used. But do you really want to
He goes
stop
in?
this guy from going back? ScaryD uses his ultimate to get back into the fight. Zapman is able to win the duel, but Aurora gets the kill on Layers over on the other side. Inbound grabs a stun. He grabs a double.
These games are actually so fun to watch,
has the
man.
Ragnarok still right back into tower range.
Oh, he's got the 3.
Oh,
perfect
the
timing.
provides
Oh,
some
Aurora
of
got
this.
baited.
Desperately
Oh,
stepping
Aurora
into
got
the lane
baited
here.
so
Zapman
hard.
low as well, but BaRRaCC with the good rotation in, and the Scarabs find
Oh,
the victory.
no.
Bravo from BaRRaCC and Zap to play that.
Oh, no.
And even more importantly, inbound. I mean,
That was
through the
all.
minions
That was
the
a
way he did
really
it.
fun fight
There
to
are
watch.
maybe 2 or 3 items
Oh?
there that should have
Did
been
he
in his
ever?
life that don't connect.
Saw versus Paul. It's the
Wow,
1v1.
bad.
Good
Oh.
control, and this
Oh.
showcases it's the duality of the Titans draft.
He has a
It might
2
continue
soon?
right here on
Oh,
the
there's
offensive
no
end.
way.
You have a
Oh?
lot of healing. It's
Oh my
necessary
goodness.
because everybody's so squishy on this team. I mean, you've got 2 assassins, the hunter.
Oh, if he
and
didn't have
the
tier
mage,
2
even
breastplate, he
Intel builds
dies there.
tanky enough. She's still susceptible to a lot of that.
Okay, that was actually
Outside
sick.
of Benji and Aurora late game as he gets items online, I think the Scarabs are going to be able to use that advantage, at least the damage numbers that they're going to be able to output, to absolutely decimate the Titans in some of these even fights.
Now we've already seen a better example of
Ooh,
diving
BaRRaCC
into this
changing
hell
build,
than we
not
ever
going
did in
anti
game
this
number 1.
game.
Paul didn't die in game 1.
I don't
He
hate
died
it.
twice so far here this game. And I think this Guan Yu now shows where some of that strength is. I'm just going to cavalry charge on in and jump on top of the hell and whittle down that health bar as well as I can. So, a good look here so far for SOT, who stands at 2-1-0, just a level behind Benji. Maybe good in the gold department, but things could get worse here. No mana and the health is melting, and Benji drops the boulder and gets a big helpful kill there.
I feel like Sot's death.
4-2-4 now. Let's see what Inbound
I
chooses
don't know
to
what I
do
call
here.
them
Goes back
troll.
behind Aurora and Cyclone Spin, but it's going to be a double stun. Well played from Aurora. Now Layers brought right back into range of the tier 1 tower. So much damage flies on
He
in.
just
The
dashed
Smite from
halfway up the
Cyclone
lane.
Spin will be shy, but what a way to turn that one around.
I mean, yeah, you take an ult and you drop a
I
couple.
mean, I just
in
think
response,
here,
though.
I mean,
Admittedly,
Sledge
maybe
makes
a fair trade
sense,
in that
but
regard.
you're into 4
A
fizz,
couple
so.
of relics that come through. The bead's not there for Zapman. Maybe would
Zod dying there is really
target
bad.
pick up. But with Layers, inbound, Zap, all staying alive.
Especially when there's so many
At
things
least
going
gives
good
them
on
the
duo
pressure they
side.
need to continue.
He kind of
pushing
gives
forward.
Benji like a
I
giant
actually really
win there.
liking the way that the Scarabs are going to be able to scale this one. I mean, they've been bouncing back and forth between even in gold and behind in gold, so they do need to clean that up a little bit. That Pyromancer definitely doesn't help. But being able to get, let's say, a fight around a Fury, then transition into that gold Fury afterward, that'll equal that up, and I look again towards Zapman and BaRRaCC. You get them in front of a tower, the tower's going to fall. It doesn't matter what the
Wait,
state
what
of the game
can
is,
be?
as they have a Fire Giant, even more so. And so if they fall behind in gold, they can at least make up for it in that regard.
Zapman forced to burn his ultimate here defensively as Aurora.
Yeah, Horus 2
on this Fenrir is just
a dash, Horus 3 is
insatiable
a
in his
jump.
quest for finding these engages 3-2 and 2, and maybe that's the life of a Fenrir just a little bit. You jump in a lot, you set up for fights, but on the back end of it, your health bar gets whittled away a couple more times than you would hope for. Have to give credit on the other side, though, Gore, to another very aggressive support pick in inbound. 2-0-4 so far on this Horus. Might be looking to engage again on a Cyclone Spin and Aurora, but inbound has looked a lot better, I think, for the Sora Scarabs here this game. A big reason why Zapman still in a somewhat position of comfort here for the Scarabs.
And, I mean, not to you know, smack him down, but last game, at this point, he had, what, 3-4 deaths? Like, I mean, he was trying to get aggressive the same way, but it just wasn't really working out for him. So this Horus pick has done wonders in terms of just the support play for the Scarabs.
I wonder what made him go
The only other,
Spiro Blast.
current Horus player that is doing it all.
Wait, was Scarabs 4 fizz last
Let's
game?
say it, like, the Leviathans look phenomenal.
Oh no, it's Fafnir. Okay, never mind.
So I don't know
Never mind.
maybe a special pick for a couple of these teams. He's also gone for that sledge early on. Like, he wants to be aggressive. That's kind of the point of both of these teams, is to just fight. They want to be in there.
Right.
I mean, we've seen it. It's 8-8. There's
Okay, how are they
16
going to
kills
kill
in
Paul?
14
Breastplate,
minutes.
Solve,
That's
and
something that,
Witchblade.
maybe if you're watching SCC, you expect to see in like North America, but in the SBL, normally it's a little slower pace, depending on how it is. And I want to say that both of these, maybe less so for the Scarabs, the Titans. I was trying to think of like
This
a
is
good
really hard
And you know, like Darth Maul's
to kill
lightsaber?
Paul.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
And like, yeah, it's really cool, double-sided. But if you gave that to someone who's like never trained with like a bow staff or something, that man gets out here. Yeah, good. Okay, he's out of there.
It was sneaky.
If they've never
It was
trained
close.
with a bow staff, you're gonna chop off your arms or your leg, right? like you're not gonna know what you do. And that's kind of what this is. Like, the Titans have a draft that if you get aggressive with it, you can take on two of the best Jedi of their time. But if you
Oh, you
mess
got
up,
chopped
Well, I'm
anyway,
you're gonna
sure.
slap Maul.
Hell.
But
I
Or
mean,
Qui-Gon, but
not by his own doing, right? Darth Maul didn't chop himself. He got chopped.
that was Obi-Wan.
Yeah, the gold.
Another
Fury chopped
Benji
away
rotation
by the
of
Tartarus
gold.
Titans.
It's
No one's out here.
free.
That's
Same-ish story as last
Again,
game.
it's like you're talking to me about like offensive linemen. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm gonna sit here and listen with bright eyes. You're talking about Star Wars. No chance
Yeah.
I'm cutting you off, Gore. I mean, so that's just.
Maybe
That's
we
the
just start a
1-2 punch.
Star Wars podcast like right now.
Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, right here,
Right now.
Yeah, I was thinking that too,
Call
Miss
it,
Cheryl.
I don't know
I
what
was
to call it. I'm
like,
not gonna put myself.
I don't want to
on that much
roast
of
them.
a
I'm like,
look.
why
we
would they
talked about how
possibly
the
ever do
pressure
Gork
of the
here?
game has been going back
Against
and
a
forth.
healing
The Scarabs
comp with
have
so
found
much
this aggression. The
pressure.
Titans have
Zap's
as
just
well.
dead here.
But the happier team through 15
Right,
nearly
turn around,
16
that's
minutes
good.
has got to be
Oh,
the
Aura
Titans
missed the
there.
jump.
Yeah.
4K in the lead. As that man is going to have to get away here from Aurora, who jumps in yet again onto the Don's.
Oh, maybe we found something.
Scary
Oh.
left alone here.
Oh.
He'll teleport on over towards BaRRaCCuDDa, and it would have been a miracle if he survived.
Well, that's not a
And
bad
Layers
pick.
will bring the kill total to 9 now for the Solar Scarabs. Still, though, pretty far behind in the gold department.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of a sneaky 3K that goes up the, well, not
Okay.
even
Okay,
sneaky.
what?
Pyromancer
Okay.
Gold Fury does that for
Hellbenders
you,
are
right?
literally
You're
so
gonna be able
annoying.
to find that
No
control
one-
towers. They've been
no one
holding off
enjoys
on
playing
all
against
tier
Hell.
ones.
And healer metas are
1500
always awful.
just in base on that.
95%
And there's, again, a lot of potential. I think you give
of the community
Scarabs
don't
a
like playing against
fire
healer
giant feel like
metas.
they had last game, this amount of control.
And
3K
that's
down,
a
equal up
completely
that
accurate
game.
number that I've
Great
not pulled
stun
out of
there
anywhere.
from
Oh,
Aurora.
he just had to land. He just
Yeah,
had to
but he gets pulled out
land.
of range of the horse. Ultimate
Bobby.
good thought there from inbound, but takes just a little bit too long to get his jungler
Oh.
out to safety. Benji now on the chase as Paul rotates on over from mid lane here as well. It's a 4 versus 1 on the chase. A couple members of the Solar Scarabs backpedaling in as well, but a great pick over on the Layers. A lot of that skirmish ability off the map.
Continuing the chase, though.
Yeah, how
Big
far
Bang.
Well, that was
Displacement,
Layers'
they
fault
might be able to find
for,
something. With that knockup missing, he's not
messing
taking
with
any
beats
damage.
there.
You want to get aggressive.
Yeah, Benji just walks under the tower, gets knocked up, and is not concerned about things here. So it's tier 2 tower getting looked at. Minion
That was
waves a little
Layers'
bit
fault.
further behind.
Even though
Benji
Bobby could have
didn't take
saved
any
the play,
damage
that
last
was
time.
Layers'
Why would you
fault.
be concerned about it here? So we'll get that health
Just
bar.
want to clarify
drained
that
down
real
just a
quick.
little bit. Layers still 5 seconds away, and Scaredy is not in this
Oh,
fight. So
insta
it's a 4
cancel on
versus 4
Spinner.
Cyclone spin
We
stunned through by
are.
SOT, but the cavalry charges down. That had been reserved for Paul in the past and might have needed to use it on the Hell this time around. As inbound eats a snipe from Cyclone Spin, and back to base he goes as SOT will retreat as well.
And Scary D, not
Well-
only did he just invade the speed buff, has the enhanced speed buff, but now look at all the low health bars. I mean,
Oh,
this
man.
is a perfect place for a Loki to
I
try
don't
to
know
rotate
what
in.
that initiation
No, they're
was.
pinging. They want him to
That
split
was a little
push.
weird.
They want him to keep going.
Not sure
towards
whose
that
call
mid lane.
that
So it's
was.
the tier 2 in mid, tier 2 in left being
But
looked
Spinner
at.
literally
And
held his
damage.
relics
They'll
like,
likely
what is
take
this guy
it down
doing?
now by the Tartarus Titans. As soon as Layers
I don't know if
goes up,
Salt's call or someone
inbound
else's,
dies
but
off. Tier 1 or tier 2 rather in mid doesn't need that much damage. but
yeah,
enough pressure,
I don't.
slow
I mean, their
build
team
up
cut from
of
behind
pressure here on the
is
left
so
hand for the
bad
Tartarus Titans.
into a
Another big
breastplate
chunk of
held
gold closing in on
double
5K.
fizz defender.
There's the
Like,
opportunity at this point. Inbound
who are you
just
gonna
now
try to
respawning.
kill
Probably
on their
not enough
team?
time, not enough pressure to just
Yeah, Benji is
outright
mid
take the Fire
guardian,
Giant without a fight,
and
but
Scare is going to
enough
avoid
that
shield.
You can start looking towards that Fire
This
Giant 15
game
minutes
seems
in and
unwinnable for
really
Scarabs.
dictate whether or not the Scarabs are going to be able to jump in and fight you on equal level. But I see SOT, I see Layers.
They have
like,
brawlers and
help
Onk.
BaRRaCCuDDa when his ult comes up, which
Wallens.
at this point should be able to charge before a Fire Giant actually goes down. There's a lot of steal potential, or at least turnaround in the fight potential for the Scarabs. So I like this. I mean, this has been absolutely back and forth considering, I mean, the state of the map, right? Like, the state of the map means the Titans are winning. The state of the gold, the Titans are winning just through the pure values that we assigned to everything. But the Scarabs are fighting them just as if they're equal, if not just as if they were ahead in this engagement.
Well, it's the Scarabs that were driving a lot of the pressure in the early game, but the Titans did so well on answering back with at least a kill of their own that kind of mitigated the, we get a kill here,
But I mean, you're going to try to get beads into a cleanse, a double cleanse, basically. The spinner literally is
felt like they were a bit on the back foot.
never scared there, right? Like, he has a sovereignty Finner right next to him. Like, and he has dash, so...
But again, if
like, playing that way for spinner was
that's
fine.
where you can see an insta-kill on the Paul, insta-kill on the Cyclone spin in the right moment.
And that first one, at least, is the one that really matters the most to me. Insta-kill onto Paul. Paul died twice early on real easily. Zapman actually avoiding death as of right now. Let's see if Inbound can do something.
Oh, yet again, the rocket gets used defensively,
Steven.
then aggressively. Cyclone,
that's my streamer.
or ScarADDa rather, gets taken down by BaRRaCCuDDa here, the Soul. You call her name, she shows up in these fights, but Zapman low underneath the tier 2. Layers half healthy in as well. SOT could re-engage and said it's Inbound who wants to do it himself. We'll see if he closes the gap in behind the Titans, but they are plenty far enough away. So it's the one pick and done. ScarADDa off the map now for 30 seconds.
I might even be willing to put pressure on the fire tower. I don't know. That's a risky call for either side. I think the Scarabs might be in a position where they could, again, pressure it. Maybe not take it as of right now. Without the coerce to really buff them, even with Soul Danza, might take a little too long for them. I like this call. Primal Fury going their way would be a pretty big advantage.
I'm not sure how good...
Something like coercing 2 of your carries.
Oh.
They're gonna go for a fight.
Watch out, Titan. Cyclone spin. Pulled back into range. Oh, it's a massive stun from Aurora on the engage of this fight. And he has deleted Layers off the face of the map. Cyclone spin getting chased down by Zapman. And the Danzaburo will meet its target. Aurora continuing his warpath here. Grabs, I think, the wrong person. Wasn't looking for Zap, looking for BaRRaCCuDDa.
Why did Aurora drag
Paul and Benji still in this fight. It's full HP. Onto the hill. BaRRaCCuDDa whittled away by Aurora, who has done some serious work in this fight.
And just can't get away with it. The healing from SOT is too much.
Oh, and Paul grabs another onto Inbound on the back end of things. The Scarabs have stayed alive for so long, but BaRRaCCuDDa will end up going down. It's SOT. The last line of defense is Zapman still in range.
Healer meta.
Benji pushes back
healer
SOT
meta.
to the side. It'll take a while to come through, but it might get there by the end of the day.
But this is the second ultist fight, I'm pretty sure.
Safety. The Tartarus Titans get 4.
I'm wondering if he's truly... Yeah, no, Paul has no mana. Benji and ScarADDa didn't pursue as well, so yeah, he's out of there, but... I mean, that's one of those moments, like, extended engagement, that starts with ScarADDa dying and ultimately ends up
being that back.
Almost full wipe there on the side.
Why is that back and ran all the way to gold again?
Respawning and making a pretty big impact. He was the 2 I wanted to highlight on this side. Is ScarADDa, what could this Loki do? Because he was like 4-1, now he's 5-4. He didn't really have a good mid game there, but transitioning into this 21 minutes, at least in that fight, was able to have a good impact. But it's going to be Paul. He's 0-2 early on in the game. They're getting to this hell, shutting her down. Then there was one kill we watched where they didn't, or I guess not even a kill, one engagement we watched where Paul doesn't die there. And they haven't been able to get to him since.
I assume Sot's going to Heroes X. Could go somewhere.
Where I think a lot of this turnaround for the Titans exists. You can engage really well as the Scarabs like they just did, but whether it's phenomenal plays from Aurora, which there have to be highlighted, there's so
Heroes
many
actually be pretty good here. All of their CC is pretty crucial. Like influential, so the Heroes X procs would be good use in my opinion.
That comes through from all everything that
Heroes RP, I mean,
is definitely giving them a
I think it's really good for
small
Paul.
advantage in every single fight, and that's been enough to help turn things around. I think if you can kill off Paul, you win this fight and potentially the game pretty easily. That's just a very, very tall order.
And we mentioned cavalry charge is one of the big pieces of utility that might help in finding Paul. Got used defensively at the end of the fight there by SOT. You don't necessarily love that if you're the Solar Scarabs. I think Aurora needs to have massive shout-outs after that fight. I mean, the Solar Scarabs were the one putting pressure in, then Aurora jumps in. I think it's 4, maybe even all 5 of the Solar Scarabs that get stunned up.
Yeah, alternate timeline, breastplate,
and grabs a kill.
And Bubba's hurt. I don't know how, and a full tank finger with Cridwin. I don't know how you're killing anyone.
Slash line for support.
I feel it's the same way as Titans drafted last game. It's just like so hard to kill them.
Zapman who gets jumped on. Yet again, Ragnarok waiting, Ragnarok leaving, but instead it's Inbound, who on the back end gets gobbled up, I suppose, says Aurora. Now Zapman gets knocked on back into range. Benji drops the excavate. The Tartarus Titans feeling good as ScarADDa rounds the backside. Zapman has to use the Aegis. That might mean the Danza survives for a little bit longer. SOT cavalry charge this time could be a big
The fight just looks so unwinnable for Scarabs.
Death on the other end.
how they could continue getting aggressive. I mean,
They
we
can't
haven't seen
kill
a single
anyone.
Fire
You-
giant
like,
so far this game. You've got the
who-
front lines gone.
who can you
It
actually
seems like
kill?
the time to be able to get aggressive. But the Titans, they're going to go for Phoenix, and honestly, they've got 18 seconds before inbound's back.
Maybe
they should at least be the
Spinner?
bird.
See what they do
might
here.
be able to find a kill depending on where the Scarabs position.
Where their character models went towards the end of that Phoenix, I think, told a pretty big story here. Inbound 5 seconds away. SOT 30 seconds away. Mid lane Phoenix still standing. There's a tier 2 in mid as well. And so the Tartarus Titans, they want blood. They want to end the game now. Layers pulls ScaryD back into danger underneath the mid lane.
I don't think it
Phoenix
matters.
Layers gets pulled on back in by Benji, and who else but Aurora?
Titans literally
finds
can't
the killing
die.
blow.
Yeah, I think you
Like,
you
they're so
disengage it, right?
You gotta
tanky.
leave.
It
SOT's
actually
almost back.
can't die.
You got another kill. You don't quite have what you need to take down that Titan, but they're going to be able to get inbound.
Yeah, you thought they were going to leave. Instead, inbound gets jumped on, pulled back in, and now the Tartarus Titans, the tug of war goes on as both Layers and inbound are dead for at least 35 seconds. 3 members of the Solar Scarabs left in this fight. Might make it too. BaRRaCC gets
You can't kill
evaporated.
anyone.
SOT tries to dash away, but Aurora's in. Benji hits another pull. It's a big disengage from Zapman on the back end, but the Tartarus Titans don't care.
That
They'll
just
send
autoed
all
Benji
5
for
in
75.
on the
I don't know
Titans.
if you guys
A
saw
rocket
that.
from Zapman closes the gap onto ScaryD, who goes back beneath the middle lane Phoenix here, but it's lopsided. The Solar Scarabs are on the opposite side of their Titan, and it looks like the
They're
Tartarus
literally
Titans,
just
they might grab
damage
the DSI,
farming,
they'll
bro.
grab game 2, they'll
Don't
grab
end the game.
second
Don't end the
here
game.
in
Kill
25
Layers. Kill Layers.
minutes.
Kill Layers.
Look, I
Call
think
it. Call it.
everything
Please.
is
Please.
going-
Please.
maybe not
Please
well
call it.
for the
Yes.
Scarabs up to that point.
They're killing
Before
Layers.
it starts
Oh,
getting
Benji
out of
wants
hand,
to.
The kills were mostly even for a majority of that, but
They want to kill Layers
that
so
fight
bad.
around the tier 2 on
Yep.
right here
Go, Bobby!
was just so well
Oh.
executed. I mean, we got to see it the fight previous for the Titans, but just that last engagement around that tier 2 was
Paul didn't even have to
magical, I guess,
lean
the
that
best way
hard.
I would describe it. A great loop around from ScaryD. That Loki comes in right when they need him and catches off the
All
Scarabs
lean wasn't
as
even
they're
complete.
retreating, able to peel them
It was
away
in the
while rest of
loading
the front line
stages.
just kind of barrels forward. Dave, I'm going to be honest with you. I was expecting them to grab.
Yeah, I mean, their
Phoenix,
team
run
comp
back to
can't
FG,
kill
play
anyone.
it safe. The fact that they continued an onslaught, I mean, just absolutely beat down anyone that stood in their way, showcases the Titans and what that draft was meant to do.
I think that's what the Scarabs expected too. The Titans were in there, they grabbed a Phoenix, and they kind of leave, and then inbound wanders forward.
I mean, it's just
killed off,
like
and the dominoes just
Soul
kept
and
falling there.
Vans output
Like, this has been the
damage,
issue
but
with
they
the
don't
Scarabs.
really
They
like.
have great fighting. They can skirmish
They
in the
don't.
early
Their
game,
kill
but they were
secure
still
isn't
4K
great.
behind when the kills were even.
I will
And
give them a lot of
then
credit, though. The fact that they were able to do
You
that
have
against the Titans,
Horus,
the Titans have
Susano,
been a
Guan
really
that
good,
need to
like you
dive
said,
a hell, but they're
tied,
not
I think,
really
just under the
coordinated in their
bolts, but tied with,
dive.
like, the Dragons for their
The
win
Titans
streak
are
so
taking
far
like
this
really
year. This has been a
skirmishy
team
fights,
on
and
the
every
rise. The
skirmishy
Scarabs
fight
being
obviously
able to
goes
put
in
up that
favor
kind
of a
performance
healing
against them
comp.
gives me a lot of hope for the Scarabs.
And
Especially after a
that's
little bit
about
of a
it.
break
That's
there
about
as well,
it.
getting back into phase 2 here.
That's about it,
Great
chat.
showing
Meta
from the
next
Titans.
week.
Yeah, new meta next week. Things getting crazy here in phase 2 of season 8 of the SPL. That's it for this day in action. Then we'll take a break in the desk. We'll round it out.